I wonder, have you seen the intro sequence of X-Men Legends 2?
Yeah.
Yes! Yes!
This is inspired by X-Men Legends 2.
Oh.
They had this color
Oh.
scheme. And this inspired me to be like, no, I need to.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Nerdgasm podcast.
And I've made a comment on TikTok. We are sober, but I'm telling you, man.
And you can find me on My Big Geek Media. Hashtag Reach Us to Thala campaign.
Every time Jack had to find someone from Africa, he's so plain.
Okay, I'm tebellokhala. Welcome to Nerdgasm. Hi, what's up, you guys? Welcome to an awesome episode of the Nerdgasm podcast with our fellow guests here. We have a very large, we've got not one but two guests. This is the first time we have more than one guest come into this show. And I am trying to not, okay, pause that line. We'll filter it. It's the first time we have two guests arrive. That sounds
You
nice.
did that to yourself, my guy.
Monetize us!
You need to fire your teleprompter guy, man. I don't think he's the one.
Every time there's a guest, something goes wrong. Every time. Anyway,
He's got performance anxiety, Chief.
this is an 18+ show, so it's okay. Let's just leave it at that.
All right.
And
My
it's-
bad. Let me behave.
And it's nighttime as of the time of this recording, so yes, we are not. People are technically fasting. We're supposed to be pure. I don't know why they're saying these things. Anyway,
Saying what? Okay.
welcome to our guest. I'd love to introduce our two guests today. Usually, I just let people to introduce themselves, but I'll just give them a quick rundown. I met. Introducing, I think first in the list, the most awesome Forged Muse. We met on TikTok. Social media is connecting the world, except for the United States. We'll leave that for later. So I think he can introduce himself after this point. Mr. Forged Muse, welcome to Nerdgasm.
Thank you, Tebello. Introduction, let's keep it brief. Forged Muse is my tag on TikTok and Instagram. I like to make a lot of geek content, a little bit of music content, a little bit of workout content and things like that. But yes, I think you saw my X-Men theme song cover, correct?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the guitar. That was dope, man.
And I almost threw off my clothes, but I kept them composed. I was like,
you had to wear it the self.
yeah, like you're just going to see a video response. What? Anyway,
Right, that would have been something.
Oh no, yeah, that would have been cancelled right there and then. Imagine. Anywho, then meet our second guest, Mr. I want to say the full name, Thatokoza Khoza, which is cool. I love it. It's such a. It's giving Bleach. It's giving Captain of the 11th Squad. You know, it has a flow. Have you noticed all the character names? And I know it's a writing technique. They have a certain flow to it.
It's also giving Marvel, you know.
It's also giving Marvel. Victor
Richards, Peter
Parker, Thatokoza Khoza. I mean, come on.
I am a superhero already, you see.
Yeah. Welcome. I met him at Comic Con. I got his comic. It's awesome, very interesting, very colorful. I love his use of lighting. The light work in the light and dark contrast that he does in his comics is beautiful. It kind of reminds me of the OG comics these guys used to come from back in the day.
Yeah.
Like late 90s, early 2000s art style.
Yes.
It's round about there.
Jim Lee, no?
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely more for the old school type of art, you know. But yeah, thank you for having me, guys. You know, I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm a comic book artist / graphic designer / creative. And these are my characters here at the back. You know, I've got my own comic books, and we keep pushing. And I can't wait for us to start talking about this latest X-Men rendition. So thank you.
We love to hear you. Then let's go to our regular irregulars. Mr. Extrodin, please introduce yourself.
What is up, everybody? I'm just in the danger room at the moment. This is Mr. Extrodin. Thanks for everybody who's been checking out Nerdgasm. We hardly appreciate everybody who's been subscribing, liking, hitting the notification bell icon, and all that stuff. If you want to check more of this dude over here, just check out Mr. Extrodin Universe and Mr. Extrodin Things. There we talk about all things geeky. We have been doing Naruto so far. We've covered 3 arcs. And I do talk to creatives as well, and we're doing African Frame, which is we're dissecting films. So we released, I think, 2 films this week alone, which is Tuli. I even forgot. I think it's Beverly Hills Cop. Actually, we did Beverly Hills Cop, the first one. So if you want, I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the days when you had DVDs, you used to check out like special features commentary. So we're basically doing something like that, but instead of showing you the visuals, just narrating the story and going into detail about that story. That is me. You can also check me out on TikTok at Mr. Extrodin. You can check me out on Instagram as well. So yeah, that's me.
And our dear friend, Mr. BuckMeister. Take it away.
To me, my fellow subscribers. What is up, everybody? It's your boy BuckMeister, twice the nice that you were used to, Shablamson. You can check me out on Meister Geek Media and BuckMeister Cool Reacts. You see, your teleprompter is infecting my teleprompter now. So Meister Geek Media and BuckMeister Cool Reacts, those are my 2 YouTube channels. So on the one, I react to a lot of popular culture and all of that stuff. You can also get music on there and skits and all of that stuff. And then on the other channel, Meister Geek Media, that's where I do lots of geek discussions. I talk indie comics and indie comic reviews. And also we have a game called Geek Heresy, which I played with these 2 guys, where it's a lot of fun. And if you want to, test your friendships, you show up on that show.
Yes. I in recognition of a fellow Star Wars fan, there are moments we had to play Hero Falls from George Williams, because it was like, this is the end for you, my master. How could you betray me like this?
You are lost.
Yes.
You are lost. Yeah, no. So it's a lot of fun. I might have the 2 of you, the guests on it one day. You never know. If you are going to be at Comic-Con Cape Town this year, I am going to be playing the anime edition live in front of an audience. So we'll see how that goes with 2, 3, 4 guests and all of that stuff. And because I'm going to be hosting this year. And yeah, that's I almost forgot. Recast the T'Challa campaign on all of my social media.
I would have been shook.
I almost, almost, bro. I was like, something is missing. Recast the T'Challa campaign across all my social medias. And I have released a webtoon, Black Panther vs. Kang. All 3 issues are out on webtoons. You can go check it out. And you can also go drop me a follow on Kofi. I need to shoot you the link, Mr. Extrodin, so you can put it in the description. Sure. So you can check me out on Kofi, and you can donate there, because I'm planning to do an animation around the Black Panther vs. Kang comic book storyline that I'm crafting now as we speak. And yeah, that's everything. Woo.
Interesting. You're shooting him the link for my show. I would like to see how's that gonna work.
Oh.
I
shoot everybody.
He forgot. He forgot that we're on another channel now.
We're always migrating channels. I was like, okay, see this. Anyway, welcome.
I got Professor X. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, welcome to the show again. We are here to discuss this wonderful show here, X-Men. Usually, it's funny, we are more compact this time, We usually have a lot of tangents. And open disclosure, our dear guests, there are going to be tangents, okay? Just brace yourselves. If you have another appointment coming soon, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I wanted to ask Tato a question. So first tangent.
Yeah.
Artists were you inspired by? Comic book artists.
Which comic book artist, right?
Yeah.
Well, I definitely dig Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee and stuff. I like the Image guys. Let me put it like that.
They actually worked on X-Men, by the way. Those two people you just mentioned, they
Yeah,
actually were artists for X-Men.
exactly. So yeah, the Image dudes are my best dudes, and I forgot to mention my handles. So everyone mentioned their handles. You can find me at Surreality Designs, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever it is. It's Surreality Designs.
The links will be below. Click on the description. I know people don't say they don't know where to. You see under where there's a video now, and then there's the heading, and then there's a little bit of writing, and then there's a click for more. There's like we do something ... Click there, and then you can scroll down to all the various links. All right, that's where you'll find where the links are. You can either do that,
Mr.
or
Extrodin, you hear that? I'll give you my link to give to him. Because that's how it works now.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm just saying, people can. That's where you find that. When I say in the description, I mean it there. People don't come at me and say, no, I don't see it anywhere, or you want me to put it in the comments or something. I don't know. Yes, you tell me, help me help you. Let's help each other. If it's easier if I put it in the comments, I'll do it. I'm not
But
shameless.
don't message us on WhatsApp, please. Don't message us on WhatsApp. Don't ask for the link on WhatsApp. On YouTube, please.
Yeah. All right. Okay, moving on. Before I get started, once again, we are in for a doozy today. Once again, gentlemen, cue the Tawaza anime music theme. Wait, I even had my file and everything ready. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Tawaza Anime. I'm your host, tebellokhala. There are currently 1,111 One Piece chapters, and this is the Tawaza Anime News Network headlines. There you go.
Yeah.
Professional. Look at me. I'm professional face. Right. I'm getting the prompter's busy loading. Give me a minute. Moments before the release.
You guys can hear me, right? I feel like I keep cutting out.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Moments.
Okay.
Oh, a few moments before the launch of the Star Wars Accolade, we've just received, surprising no one, that Disney has cancelled the show's second season. This is due to the growing pressure of people having an issue with this Jedi being black, or the fact that this story doesn't really need to exist, as some people argued.
Wait, they canceled the Acolyte season 2 even before season 1 dropped.
Before season 1 dropped.
Wow.
But then why would they announce that?
Dude, this is another bad girl situation. I'm sure they watched the material. They were like, "This is not good." But let's just.
No, but I'm saying, there's such a thing as oversharing. Like now already, people are gonna check out of season 1. Like, dude, keep quiet. Just cancel the show quietly. Why are you making this an announcement?
I think it's because people. I like to call them the counter woke agenda, have been complaining left, right, and center about this poor Jedi being a certain race and being a certain.
Is this from the Obi-Wan show?
No,
it's from the Obi-Wan show.
From the Acolyte, because it shows even if you look at the cover, the trailer, there's this black lady. Reads and everything, clearly a Jedi. It's set like 100 years before the fall of the Republic, before the rise of the Empire. So it's supposed to be during that High Jedi, say, quote unquote, High Jedi era, which we all know that's supposed to be 2,000 years ago. Those who've read Legends knows the truth. But anyway.
But it's not like they didn't have a black Jedi on the High Council.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I don't know.
And was it in Ahsoka where they, the actor who played Jar Jar Binks, they got him back? Mm-hmm. And those scenes were good. Like, I was watching that and I was like, wow, this guy rocks. Like,
I think that's Mandalorian. It wasn't Ahsoka.
Okay, yes, I might.
Does anybody remember Mace Windu by any chance? Like, do we remember a guy called Mace?
No, but here's the other thing: Star Wars fans, your franchise is dying. You're complaining about the wrong things here. the last of your worries is a black Jedi or a Mexican Jedi or any type of like.
In a
Why
world
don't you
where the
complain about
aliens,
the people who are not writing? Like you're not the people are not writing. The shows are whack. Like
it's
the
a
last thing you're supposed to be complaining about is who's a Jedi and who's not a Jedi. You should be complaining about who's the writers.
yeah.
Because people are writing, I would not miss this reunion for nothing. Who are you reunioning with, Ahsoka?
And she
Why?
wasn't excited at all to see that guy, dog. Like
To
she
give
was
you,
not even
um,
interested to see that guy.
our dear guests, to give you some context, we did a review on the Ahsoka show that came out last year. We all almost gouged our eyes out because it was a big nothing burger. We felt like we wanted the
It
hours of
was
our life back.
bad.
It was
Eh,
bad.
Ever since then, everybody just realized, you know what? We are just gonna stick to our own delusion where Star Wars ended in the Return of the Jedi. I'll be
Yeah.
sitting by my campfires like, want to watch? Do you want to watch want to watch the Return of the Jedi with me again? Okay, cool. Let's go watch it.
I think BuckMeister, you hit the nail on the head. And the best example is someone commented this on a YouTube channel where they were saying, oh, everyone says it's superhero fatigue. Everyone says it's because of strong female characters. Everyone says it's because of political issues and gender ideology. And then they're like, you know what show had all of those things very prominently? Gen V. Gen V was a superhero show with a person of color, female lead, and really strong gender and like even some trans politics with the one character. And that show is amazing because it's written and it rated well. People won't complain if you give them a good story.
If it's written well, yes.
100%.
I think back in the good, back in dinosaur times, before my channel my first ever TikTok that got blocked. I once made fun of the Star Wars intro that Obi-Wan says that is like for 1,000 generations Star Wars used to be a plane of unity and togetherness, but that was before the evil times, the times of Disney. A young producer named Kathleen Kennedy, who was a pupil of George Lucas until she turned to evil, helped Disney hunt down and destroy what Star Wars was.
Just leave it there. Don't say everything else because people were blocked because of this. That's what YouTube might do. So, hey, yo. Anyway.
You're getting very close to being cancelled by the race day.
Anyway, I just wanted to bring to the thought is like, just wanted to have a quick discussion about is it really is the problem the agenda they're talking about, but the writing? It feels like everybody here agrees is that it's actually terrible writing that's killing Star Wars, not necessarily any sort of agenda.
Oh, every franchise dies because of terrible writing. It's never because of an agenda. Agendas are fine. Everybody pushes an agenda.
Yeah.
But if you push an agenda before the story, it always falls flat.
Yeah.
Always.
I mean, I remember somebody was arguing when you're watching a very old movie called Starship Troopers, and someone was arguing that the book itself was an anti-war propaganda. And the way it's so written, you don't see the anti-war propaganda in it up until you look at the book, the whole story at the end. And that's something that's well written. Instead of just people insulting out the audience's intelligence of trying to be as two-dimensional as possible, arguing that there's no what's the word? Okay, media literacy anymore. There's plenty media literacy. Guys, the audience isn't dumb. You can't go ahead like we are doing this because we want the Jedi, we want the Force to be we want the Force to be female this time. Look, girl power, it doesn't work.
But also circling it back to X-Men, I think I saw some posts last week or 2 weeks back where people are saying the X-Men is too woke, and people are like, dude, have you been reading any X-Men comics? Have you
watched the show?
Have you watched the show? You think it's being woke now? You know, I think some people that are complaining about all these IPs, I think either haven't really properly watched any stuff that they're complaining about. I think that's the problem. Because if you're complaining about a Black Jedi, clearly you haven't watched the trilogy that has Mace Windu in it. You know
and I'm just saying, like,
if you're gonna
and I'm just saying, you're letting. No, sorry, I'm just saying you're letting things like You're letting things like Anakin show up for no reason to tell Ahsoka, you're doing a great job, and then he just fades back into the distance, and we don't know why he came. We don't know how she's seeing him. You're letting all of that slide to let her to complain about a black Jedi. Like, come on. Like, you're letting Rey meet all the masters who she's never trained with. She met Yoda somehow. She met Obi-Wan Kenobi somehow. She met Mace Windu somehow. All of that, yeah.
Palpatine a villain again for no reason. You're like,
Somehow Palpatine returned. I'll never forgive that. I will never forgive that. Somehow, is that the only explanation you're gonna give? Oh my God!
I think with X-Men, BuckMeister,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
they said, I think people were nervous, not about, because X-Men was always about being an outcast, being rejected for who you are, and in some cases that veers towards gender, in some cases it's about being a teenager and not fitting in some cases it's about race or even disease. In the comic books,
yes.
you draw lines to cancer and AIDS, but I think people were worried that they were going to take that into a very overt, incorrect, into a very outspoken narrative where they're not using allegory and they're being very on the nose. But that comes back to bad writing.
Yeah.
Or on the flip side, if they did something weird, like let's make Wolverine bisexual, then everyone would be like, okay, that's a weird direction.
Isn't it happening in the comics already?
But he's always there.
No,
But
No,
it's a big
they
topic
did.
that's
No,
on social
they
media
didn't.
right now, actually.
They tried,
Wolverine being
and then they just
bisexual,
said
so,
no.
yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to also add, with regards to people having a problem with black people in Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. The man who shot the shot that destroyed the second Death Star was a black man. Give Lando Calrissian his flowers. I'm sick and tired of people going like, yes, I love Mace Windu. Don't get me wrong, but if you want to show me the OG black man who did the biggest service to the Empire against the Empire, it's Lando Calrissian when he flew the Millennium Falcon inside the damn Death Star, almost losing his ship and blew it up. Let me calm down. Calm down. I'll come back. Let me come.
You guys know that system that tests for female representation where are there two women, do they talk to each other about something other than
I forgot that test. I've heard about it.
I forgot the name of the system, but I'm like, but what if you had that thing for race where you're like, are there, because yes, there's Lando, but I'm like, are there two black people in Star Wars? Do they talk to each other about something else other than a white person? I don't remember. There's like they've got one. There's one token guy, and then in the next trilogy, there's one token guy, and in the next trilogy, it's maybe two. It's very sparse.
There's a dialogue between a black guy and a Native American in the Last Jedi, into the Return of the Jedi. Because when Lando says split up and head back to the surface and see if those TIE fighters can. Oh my God! I know this movie too much.
No, I think they're stormtroopers because if you remember, was it Rise of Skywalker?
Hey guys, am I cutting out? I feel like I'm cutting
no,
out.
You're not, dog.
I'm just gonna jump out and jump back in.
You remember Finn?
Oh, okay.
You remember Finn spoke to a former stormtrooper that was also black. That was the first time we saw two black people speaking to each other. But the movie's forgettable, so we forgot that.
Wow! So in the one good thing that happened in this fan fiction.
Hey, Force Awakens was all right. It was only until the end where it started getting shaky, but it was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier and about good writing. I have a cat meowing at my feet, if you can hear him. He doesn't like being picked up, or I would show you, but he's a bit sneaky about that.
Okay.
Of course, when they got to the next movie, what was that? Not Rise of Skywalker?
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Yeah, Last Jedi.
Even some of the stuff that people were complaining about, if you could fix that with a little bit of writing. I know there were more big issues with those movies, but if Rey had a dialogue with someone and she said, I looked at the ancient Jedi texts and I shouldn't have been able to, wield a lightsaber or use, no Jedi has ever shown this much aptitude with the Force this early. They can maybe write a better sentence than I can. But if you did that and she was like, this is a mystery, like what the hell's going on? then people would be a lot more accepting of, oh wow, there's something weird. Rey is
Yeah.
supernaturally empowered. Because people are always saying Luke versus Rey and the development and the teaching, and it gets controversial.
Well,
but you could have fixed those things with a few lines of dialogue sprinkled in there.
It was giving very much a lot of Mary Sue. Mary Sue is.
I think they should have just had her train. Why don't you just have the montage where she's training with Luke and Luke is just whooping her left and right and he's like force bending her and she falls over on her face and then she stands up and runs at him again and he's just like, nope.
Like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's 5 minutes of film.
Yeah.
That's 5 minutes. That's
Just
it.
5 minutes of that, giving him a piggyback ride. It's like, this is how I trained. Now run, keep running. You're so heavy. Tough luck. I had a good choice for a master.
It's like, your dude was a puppet. You're a whole grown man.
Keep running.
Now backflip.
He was gonna get cancelled for sure.
I
Luke
think if they did that,
cancelled, not my camel. Luke.
like I'm just saying, I think if they did that, if they just showed her training and like made the training difficult in a 5-minute montage, that would have made that movie so much better. I think like the problem is that even in Force Awakens, Rey starts unlocking powers where you're like, this doesn't make sense. The Jedi mind trick, Obi was an old man when he did that, and she just like released the chains. And I in the theater, I literally shouted out, "No ways!" I was like, "No ways! No, this is not." And then the stormtrooper does it, and I'm like, "She did the Jedi mind trick on her first try."
Fun fact: that stormtrooper was supposed to be Craig David. Anyway.
But remember when they changed? Okay, I know we're trying to stop this tangent, but when they changed directors, they didn't have cohesion.
Yeah.
That's the other problem.
Threw that lightsaber over his shoulder. I was like, no, that's just bad. When Mark Hamill was reading the script for The Force Awakens, he said the moment the lightsaber started shaking in the snow, he was like, "Oh, this is such a great entrance for Luke." That would have been Luke showed up then.
Yeah, they're like, "This is mine, nephew,
I don't
uncle."
in making Rey super powerful, but I think if there was a little bit more respect shown to the original source material, I think it would have elevated.
Well, also, it was annoying that they kept having Finn hold the lightsaber and then they turn him into a delivery boy. It's like, is he force sensitive or not? Like, stop playing with me.
Finn is force sensitive. I will die on that hill. That's the only thing that's keeping me interested in the original movies. Finn is so force sensitive. You are supposed to end up with Rey. If it didn't end up with Rey, you're supposed to end up with Poe. One of the two. I will not substitute my my headcanon for this anymore. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wearing.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I just think the thing is like they turned him into a delivery boy for the lightsaber, and it was just like, okay, let him be a Jedi. In fact, you had a whole era of Jedi. Just go back to that. You can have multiple Jedi in a movie. I don't understand where this one Jedi per trilogy rule came from.
Hey.
So, but anyway. I'm just saying, like, Star Wars fans, you're complaining about the wrong things. It's not about the women. It's not about the black people. It's not about that agenda. It's about how these writers are not good. So complain about the writing and get good writers. And then whatever story they make, it'll work.
I mean, they even cancelled season 2 of Obi-Wan because if there's one franchise that could have saved it, my biggest argument with all the new Star Wars movies is the fight choreography sucks. Horrifically. I miss the Obi-Wan versus Anakin fight level swordplay that they had, Count Dooku, Darth Maul. I'm not even going into detail. That fight choreography was epic. I don't care what people complain. They just listen to a few minority people say, no, this thing kind of sucks because that's not realistic. And then they decided to go hard left, which left all the people who grew up loving these choreographies. And then we are here to watch. I mean, have you seen this mess in Ahsoka? I mean,
the last episode of Ahsoka, it was so. I was kind of sitting there going, "This is like," because I like to love things. I try to love it.
Yeah.
I excuse a lot of things, but I was sitting there going, they were just blocking the lightsaber bolts, and I was like, "This is embarrassingly bad." Like you can see the actors are standing there, not knowing that they just. I'm just going to swing continue this move.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Like all of a sudden, Sabine can use the Force while she was struggling for like 5 episodes. Like all of a sudden, you can use the Force. All of a sudden, like
Yeah, set up development
No,
payoff.
and
There
also like
wasn't.
she's proficient. Like also she's proficient. Like let's not forget, she's doing Ray things. It's like where did this come from? Now she can
Yeah.
force jump people. Now she can just control. And it's just like like two episodes ago you couldn't do anything. Like that's what I'm saying. The writing is, and also like back to Obi-Wan. It was like, why did you guys want to sandwich in the Reva's storyline? Like you wanted to sandwich in another storyline in the Obi-Wan storyline, and they were just clashing heads the entire time. Like
Right.
she should have had her own episode, like her own series where she chases after Vader and she fails, and then at the end of the series, that's the end of the series, and then we have to follow that. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
I
okay. I
see.
know I was talking bad about the dark side. My bad.
I don't. I. Oh, so you are. So you are a Sith now.
That's it.
I just left it on red. But I was literally, when it looked like the actors were like, "Oh yeah, I know this move," and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, "So you just keep doing that move, you know? That's all you do." Yeah, I have a guitar in
Weren't
it.
you,
I don't want to hit anything.
weren't you giving a tutorial about the twirl in one of your TikToks?
I did a bunch of lightsaber. I want to get back to it, but you know how difficult it is to balance content and get stuff out when you're busy. I do want to get back to a lot more lightsaber content because that's how I got established.
Force is strong with this one. Join me, and together we will rule
Give
the
yourself.
TikTok waves.
What? No.
Give yourself to the
dark
internet.
side. It
But
is the
the-
only way you can save your friends.
The
Yes.
TikTok lightsaber community, I started about 2 years ago, I think, and there was nothing. But now there's like actually, in South Africa as well, there's a lot more people getting into the lightsaber stuff. So now's a good time for that community.
We have always been there. We just didn't know how to get into this. I mean, I think I mentioned before.
We are like the X-Men for sure. I'm telling you, we just needed someone to just discover us, like with Cerebro. But we've been there.
I mean, I've been watching the lightsaber choreography competition since 2015. Every year, I've been watching the winners. I've been watching these contests, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we do it for ourselves? Like, I want my own. I even wrote my own fanfics. Like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do here. This is a chapter 1, chapter 2, and scene. So I was like, I just didn't know where to get the equipment and find the fans. But now I'm getting to see, hey, you know, if this thing might actually happen. And we'll get sued by Disney, but who don't? What Disney can't take away from nothing. Take away from nothing and you still get nothing. You can't get a minus. You know what I mean? I've got nothing to lose.
This is the longest Thatokoza anime we've had on this show.
Yeah, true. Okay, let's put an end to it. I just wanted to recap. The show got cancelled. It kind of sucks. Get better writing. That's your biggest problem. Watch The Return of the Jedi.
And stop canceling shows and telling us about it because it just hurts the other products. Because now we're like, hey, you guys don't have faith in anything.
True.
And movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
All right then. Now let's move into the meat of the product. And I think because I heard there's a guitar nearby, I can't resist. Well, if they block it, they'll block it. I'll edit it out. But Mr. Fortunes, can you please introduce the soundtrack?
Yes. Hang on one moment. Just
Can
get-
you
you hear that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Logan.
Here's my key when I need it. Oh yeah, I was doing the Magneto pose at the end. Crush them all.
But this is
I
a
thought
great
the Cyclops one.
Excellent.
it's a great melody to also just like slow down and break up.
You actually
Right.
make me wonder why they don't actually
Woo!
put that theme
Wow.
song in
Excellent.
like these dramatic roles, because that can also work. That would have been perfect to add that sound in
Yes.
these sort of like dramatic moments. That would have worked.
I think they'll still do it because they used to do it on the old show. I think they're also building up a lot of stuff now because you've probably got Magneto's theme and Rogue's theme and stuff with music, and then they'll bring it probably back. Like maybe when they bring back a character from something, like when Storm comes back into the fold with her, or Cyclops goes on some journey and he comes back. I think they might go into that dramatic part of it again. Or when maybe if Professor Xavier shows up. I doubt it, but
we can hope. Who cares?
Forge, a quick question, just also a tangent. Have you ever watched Megas XLR by any chance?
yes, I have.
Oh no, not that
Oh
song.
my
not that
gosh.
song.
Okay.
I don't know the song.
No.
I used to
I'm
watch
not asking for a rendition. I just wanted to know because I was just like that was too hardcore rock and roll for him to have not watched that show.
Telling in Jersey, fighting villains from afar.
I'm thinking of DuckTales, because DuckTales also has that whole.
Hang on.
that
Wait.
song goes hard.
DuckTales.
One of the best.
Extraordinary. Weren't we like jamming to
DuckTales.
that to Megas XLR on our very first Comic Con?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, I think I'll find the clip. We sing horribly, but you know what?
Where did they play it?
No.
How did I miss that?
We were on the car on my very first ever Comic Con. He got the tickets, lovely present. I arranged transportation, and when I got in the car, I made a playlist of all the favorite anime related songs, and one of the songs was Megas XLR's theme song. And when we played, we were busy screaming it at the top of our lungs in the middle of the N1 highway.
Okay, new thing. When we go to Soweto, oh yeah, there is a Soweto Geek Fest con. If you can make it, you should go check it out. But when we go, that's definitely in rotation. I'm not like, damn it.
Oh no, I'll make the playlist. Yeah, definitely make the playlist. But moving on, let's move to like I said, we are keeping good time. We are so well behaved. Everybody's getting a cookie today. For now.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right,
let's
for now.
talk about X-Men. I think a brief run through of what happened in the past. There were 4 awesome seasons. I never watched all of them. I was too busy trying to survive school. But all I know is I saw Magneto. I fell in love with Magneto. Ever since then, Magneto has been my hero. I know he's a villain. And some of the
Not really, no. But okay.
and some of the things he's done both in comics and in these shows are morally reprehensible, but still. To the point where one of the major reasons I played this game, X-Men Legends 2, was because Magneto was available as a character.
Yeah, this is the second most beloved 90s animated series. I'm assuming the first one is Batman the animated series, but I think the third one is probably like Spider-Man the animated series.
Yeah.
So it was that iconic. Obviously, we have spoken about this before. The animation was not that great back then. I still think that Spider-Man was a lot better in terms of animation. Batman, come on, you cannot.
And the fight sequences were very choppy back then. People
Definitely.
let's not be blinded by nostalgia. That's what I think. Did I mention that on Geek Heresy, Mr. Extrodin, Mr. BuckMeister?
Yeah, you went and said it with your whole chest on the Geek Heresy that this thing didn't age well.
It didn't.
And I was like, and now when I look at you guys with the trailers, I was like, oh, they're so excited. But they went and said this is big heresy.
But they like also I think the other thing that I would say, because I remember rewatching this thing like a few years ago. I didn't finish it, but the storyline was not that strong, because if you are not an X-Men comic book reader and you watch this show, it might take you a while to actually understand what the hell is going on. Because for people who already know Beast in the first season, in those first 3 episodes or so, this guy goes to jail and Magneto tries to take him out of jail and it's like, no, I want to stay here. Like, people will be like, why? But if you already understand the X-Men and you understand the purpose of Beast trying to prove a point, to the courts and the humans and all of that.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But if you're just going in blindfold, you'd be like, whoa, wait, what? Who's this? What's happening? Why is he fighting that guy? It's a lot to do.
And I was okay. We're going
Yeah,
to.
I mean, well, even this. Well, I mean, even if we go into these first 3 episodes, they kind of expect you to know a lot about the X-Men.
Yeah.
Within these 3 episodes. I mean, Tato, do you want to maybe elaborate on that? Because you look like you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I actually do. I read the comic books like way back in the day, and honestly, if you'd never read the comic books and never followed the comics and stuff, then I'm sure a lot of people are lost with what's going on with the new one and the old one. So for us who've been following it since we're kids, it's like I know exactly what's going on because I've been reading a lot of comments on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and people are like, they're confused, like, hey, what exactly is happening, and
who's this?
Before we get into it in detail, but yeah, everyone is lost. So I'm like, I'm explaining to people who I know, like, no, this is happening because of this and this and this, and then I take out my comic book and like, you see that page there, page 2. You see Magneto's costume, what he's wearing, with the gloves and stuff, with the big M. Yeah, because a lot of people were asking, why is Magneto dressed like that, like a drag queen?
Excuse me.
It's work. Look at him.
That's what I read.
But at the same time, I was like, you know what? Work. I'm not a fan. I miss the helmet. I miss that's. It pulled on my heartstrings, like I told you. X-Men Legends 2.
I can imagine.
I wonder, have you seen the intro sequence of X-Men Legends 2?
Yeah.
Yes!
This is inspired by X-Men Legends 2.
Oh.
They had this color scheme. And this inspired me to be like, no, I need to paint. I'm not painting it red and purple. I'm painting this black and red.
Yes!
That's cool, man. That's great.
He lands so right.
Everything we like in the world, like,
oh, you got a lot of toys, bro.
Man, Forge makes me feel like I need to hand in my nerd card.
Sorry, I'm talking over you, BuckMeister.
Oh no, I was saying, Forge, you're making me think I need to hand in my nerd card. I thought I was serious about this nerd life. Apparently not.
We got a long way to go, bro.
I just want to say something quickly. I think one of the reasons I like Young Justice so much, especially the first 2 seasons, is that even though, I mean, you could also feel like if you know the comics a bit more, or if you know the lore a bit more, you understand what's going on a bit more than the normal person. But I think with Young Justice, they sort of made you understand certain characters a bit better. When you get introduced to Speedy, you already know, okay, he has beef with his mentor, Green Arrow. These guys have issues with their sidekicks, but they have issues with their mentors. You know what I mean? So at least you already have an idea that, okay, Robin, Batman, okay, this guy, this Aqualad. But here it's like, yo,
either you know the content or you don't.
Like if you read about X-Men, you're gonna be like, where are the rest of the students? This is a huge mansion. Where's everybody else? It's like 6 people here.
Yeah, and let's not get going. That basketball scene, I was like, woof. But at the same time, where the kid, this is a school, yo. You can't be running around shirtless like that.
Tebello, you mentioned the art not having aged well, and I was thinking Tato is actually, you would know about this.
Yeah.
I can just imagine, when they do shows, like when they did X-Men Evolution, you've got a character sheet, and like X-Men Evolution had a really nice, crisp style to it.
Yeah.
And I think there was some producer when they did the X-Men series, and they did the character sheets, and he's like, no, we want this. Because if you look at those sheets, it looks like a comic book.
Yes.
And that's the reason the animation didn't work, because if you look at that animation, now the guy's got an upper lip line, now it goes away, now in the next scene, it was too comic booky, and that made it difficult to animate.
Yeah. No,
that makes sense.
100% agree with that one. Yeah.
I don't know, because they seem to nail it for Spider-Man the Animated Series, because that one was heavily,
Yeah.
I think. Well, I don't know. They did simplify some stuff in the animated series, so maybe.
I think they did a good thing by changing animation studios, because these are the same guy that did Avatar: The Legend of Korra. Yes, the animation is not that great, but you can tell that
I can almost forgive you.
I mean, the animation has nothing to do with the story being great. You know what I mean?
Nah.
So I'm just saying that these guys have done great work animation-wise, especially episode 3. When you see the action in episode 3, that was
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Amazing.
No, I mean, action-wise, I think these 3 episodes have been strong. Yeah, it's just that like the storylines that they're using is just like we're jumping to that already.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I
the
was about to
pacing.
say that. Yeah.
Yeah, the pacing is a
Moving
bit
quickly,
off.
eh?
Yeah.
They're moving at super speed.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned earlier that it gives the feeling of soapy with different with a difference of focal points, where the soapy would drag out the subplot to extreme length. They're just taking the same plot but just shortening it into an episode.
Like one thing that always bothered me, like I think I never connected to the X-Men like that heavily, never, not really. And one thing that always bothered me, they took one of my favorite characters, Wolverine, and they put him in one of the stupidest love triangles that frustrate me to no end. Let this woman go, Logan. Let her go. Jesus, she has a baby with another man. Stop it.
I also don't understand that love triangle. I mean, Wolverine
That doesn't make sense.
he's ancient, you know. Like, come on, like, get over it already.
And on that note, I think we'll touch it on when we go into the episodes in detail.
Yeah.
But shout out to my main man Morph. He's like everybody's group psychologist at this point.
This
This is great.
He's that friend that says the wrong thing and doesn't know when to stop, but he's honest. I mean, I don't know. Are we getting into details? Like just that scene where he's like, "Look, Rogan may need to have the danger room booked." For
Booked.
like, what a dick!
He was so spicy for no reason. Oh my god.
He should be included in. I don't know if he's already included.
They.
Oh,
Let's
they
see,
should be
let's-
included in.
Oh
the-
yeah, they. Oh yeah.
Thank you, BuckMeister. They should be included in the comics because even in the original one, I'm like, who's this person? Like, this is basically Mystique. But the fact that Morph was an original character from the animated series, I feel like that character should have been developed a lot more in the comics as well. It's kind of like Calder.
I mean, how do their powers work though? Because Morph in one episode when they change, they like have swords.
Yes.
Like there's that one episode where like Morph generated swords, and I was like, wait, is that how? Because I mean, even when they
It's like
morph
part of
into
his skin or
Wolverine,
something.
Yeah.
like even when they morph into Wolverine, they have the Wolverine shape. So I'm like, because that means that Morph is OP.
Morph is
Mystique.
Yeah.
Morph is incredibly powerful. I think that people don't realize about that. I mean, he back in the OG season, he caused so much discord with the X-Men. He almost split them apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when he was still working, quote unquote, for Sinister.
Yeah.
With the professor there, it's not like the professor wasn't. Because I think people like, wait, somebody's mind doesn't make sense in my WhatsApp group here. Who's this? Nothing like that worked.
So it means like Morph can just approximate any power they want. That's what I'm understanding.
That's like Mystique, bro.
No, Mystique can change, but she can't like take a power. Like Morph is taking powers.
If you have your claws are part of your attached to your body, or your wings, like when he does Archangel's wings, anything attached to the body he can emulate. But Mystique can do that as well.
Yeah.
But there are instances in this where he has like with the swords, where I'm like, maybe they just did that as like fan service because Psylocke has a sword and Magic has a sword. But you're right, that to me is one of those little nitpicks where I'm like, that's a valid thing because you're misinterpreting the powers of the character.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't suddenly change it.
I was just confused. I was like, I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah, because let's say for instance, Rogue actually touches Morph for like a second. What does that mean then? Does that mean that now she can also change and use these people's weapons as well? Because I mean, Rogue, if Rogue touches Cyclops, she can use the optic blast. It makes sense. But if you touch Morph,
I don't know. Then I guess she can generate swords from her hands and change her accent and, and I guess everything that comes with it.
That's the look.
Anyway, let's break down episode 1 quickly.
All right, cool. So
Uh,
episode 1 was basically they're fighting the Sentinels.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where they end up
This-
fighting the Sentinels.
Sun-
So this
I-
this
if
takes
I were to
place
summarize,
after Gyrick assassinates Professor X, right? Or
quote
Yeah.
something.
unquote. All I remember is, from what I remember, is that Professor Xavier ended up in a spaceship in outer space. But anyway,
Yeah. Doesn't
Wait,
that
so he's not dead? Is he?
yeah, that's what I first. The first thing that
This
got
is another thing that I don't understand about the X-Men. Sorry, Forge, go ahead. I'll go
No,
next.
he was on his deathbed, and then Lilandra comes and teleports into the Shi'ar Empire.
Yes.
That's what I
What
remember.
happens in the comics though? He did go to the Shia Empire, did he
Yeah.
not? Yeah.
So he was dying, and then they go to Magneto, like, Magneto, you can augment his powers with your magnetism. Please come help. And it's like and then suddenly you just see Magneto. Magneto always had a crush on on Xavier. Don't get me. don't ever tell me otherwise. I like that Rogue called him out on his BS. Like, only when it was like, my friend's dying, not Charles. No, Charles, no. And then
The way they draw Magneto in this show, you're like, how old is that guy? Because look, like I'm not into
I
guys
want to-
like that, but man, he looks good. I'm like,
I want to age like that.
I'm the show.
I think the thing they get wrong in the live action X-Men is they think Magneto is actually old. But Magneto is not really old. It's just that he has silver hair. That's why Quicksilver has silver hair. You know, that's the thing that they don't understand. Or
He's
they,
as old as
Then
it.
he goes
Oh,
super comic nerd. Sorry, Tato, maybe you know.
Oh, sorry, man.
Okay, yeah.
No, Magneto is old, but he's not as old as the dude in the X-Men
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
right.
That guy was ancient.
But
You know,
he's
there's a
not
difference
grandpa.
between old and ancient. You know.
Okay, but
But-
yo. So you guys are telling me, hold on. So you guys are telling me that Professor X knows that he left behind a team that's in severe dysfunction, and he's chilling with Lilandra, and he's just not coming back to help.
Yeah,
Like
man,
he's
it's
just
chilling.
like they'll figure it out.
He's
Like
getting children.
Xavier,
Gonna
like
come.
everybody touts Xavier as like this wonderful leader, and he was doing great things. But every time I read, I'm like,
I have a question. This thing has been bothering me this entire week. Who's paying the bills now?
No, Xavier's Foundation. Remember, he
Yes.
set that whole thing up, so it pays for itself.
How? Is it like
No, because remember they get donations, they have contracts with the government, they've got things. He's also Moria McTaggart is there and all of that stuff.
And
He's
let's
got a bunch of things taking care of the Xavier Mansion, from what I understand.
And
Again, I'm
let's
not
not
the biggest X-Men fan, but
Yeah,
that's
but-
what I.
let's not forget that the man's net worth was $5 billion.
Yeah, I mean,
how long can you really like? How long can you be
Yeah,
paying
with-
people? I mean, like, how long can you maintain that mansion for? Even if
with $5 billion and as you mentioned, multiple systems of generating income, I think they're kind of sorted with regard to that.
that foundation thing makes sense, yeah. But I didn't. No, before that.
No, but I'm saying also remember, like in the Krakoa era, they also go into the fact that Xavier had multiple businesses on the side through dummy shell corporations and all of that stuff. So he's been doing this thing where he's been constantly, because they crash the Blackbird every week, and like the mansion gets destroyed like every 2 weeks or whatever. Like I don't know how anybody graduates from Xavier school. So
Also, donations should donors should pull out. Like, yo, dog, nah, this bill. Nah, I'm sorry.
The
All I'm
Blackbird-
just saying, all I'm
the
saying
Blackbird
is,
thing is funny, man.
that thing never survives a mission. I've never
Nope.
seen the Blackbird ever survive a mission ever.
all I'm saying is Xavier is a member of the Illuminati for a reason.
I think they've got a really good insurance plan on Blackbird.
Oh my! Oh my! It beats my way. It beats outsurance. They pay out every time.
Literally in this episode, what happens to the Blackbird?
But imagine calling insurance, yeah. So it's me against Cyclops. So yeah, a Sentinel just came in, took me
Again?
head off.
Oh,
Again?
wait.
Aye.
You just mentioned insurance. Hello,
I just
I'm
need
developed.
like super nerdy trivia which explains something we mentioned earlier. The problem with Magneto is they put his backstory into a real life event, the Holocaust.
Yeah.
I should be careful how I phrase these things because these are the words that YouTube will freak out about. But because they linked him to this real life event, like if you look at the comics, Cyclops was maybe 20 when it started in the 60s, and maybe now he's 40, like at most.
Yeah.
The time goes very slowly. But now you've linked Magneto. No, he was alive during that time in the world event. So now they have to go, okay, by this time he is in his 70s or his 80s.
Yeah.
But in the comics, they de-aged him. There was like an alien side plot where he was turned back into a baby as a punishment, and then he grew up again. And so they brought him into his prime. So in the comic books, he can be 20 or 30 or whatever. It doesn't matter anymore.
Jesus.
Don't ask questions, Chief. If we start asking questions, everything is going to unravel. Because remember, Parker was in high school in the 60s, and now it's 2024, and he's still supposed to be 30 years old. So,
Look at Jubilee.
yeah. I mean, like, Franklin Richards has never been a man ever since his introduction, and, like, the Fantastic Four were when? And they had that baby when? Like, you just gotta accept it's a sliding timeline. Like, that's the thing you accept about comic books. It doesn't, like, Batman is still in his 40s.
Yeah.
Like, that man will never age past 40 ever.
Yep.
And by extension, Damian Wayne can never age past 12, because then we're gonna be like, but hey.
Robin. Yeah.
That being said, people need to realize that comics, and I'm gonna say something controversial. You're gonna come at me. I know the people watching are gonna be upset. But comics and soapies are in the same category. You need to have a suspension of disbelief for both of them. Because if you try and apply critical thinking in either of these two things, the immersion breaks.
Yeah. No, that's the truth.
Well,
because,
I mean, unlike soapies, at least they have actual magic. So when people come back from the dead, I'm like, okay, fine, there's magic.
What are you
Soapies
talking
come
about?
back.
I literally watched. You should watch this lady. Telenovelas are hell. Literally, this woman says, the domestic worker, her side hustle is witchcraft."
No, I'm talking about like Bold and the Beautiful when somebody got hit by a train and then they came back the next episode like, nah, I'm cool. And I'm like, dog, I saw you. You didn't jump out the way. How did that happen?
Bro, those people have healing powers that are insane, dog. OP.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but you're right about it being like a soapy because like even when you write a comic book, the way you end it, it has to catch people's attention for the next issue.
Yeah.
So that's how the soapies do it too. Like you're saying, he got hit by a train or got struck by lightning or something, and then it ends, and everyone's like, "Oh damn, what's gonna happen next week?" You know?
Like one dude got shot, and they had a funeral, and then he just like this. I think this was Muvango. He got shot.
Bold and
they had
Beautiful.
a funeral. Everybody cried over him, and then like 10 episodes later, he came back and he's like, "I'm the ghost now. I'm a ghost."
Oh,
But it's like he's opening businesses. He's attending business meetings, and he's like, "But how did you come back?" Just know me as the ghost, KK the ghost. I'm like, dog, that's not an explanation. What happened?
It's the same with soapies. Like somebody could be kidnapped, tied up in a cupboard, and 2 minutes before the episode, and the kidnapping kicks the cupboard door. Like, what's that sound? And then they just look at each other for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then it ends.
I think, like I was telling BuckMeister the other day, Chris Claremont is to blame partly for turning the X-Men into a soapy. Let's be honest.
God.
There's the whole Madeline Prime stuff and this whole...
No, that's episode 3.
Even before Madeline Prime. Before we get to
let's finish episode 1.
Okay,
I just wanted to highlight episode 1 should be renamed. We make Cyclops cool again.
Yes.
Because
Agreed.
everybody saw this. Everybody was like, "What?" They watched the old X-Men movies and they were so bitter about what the hell they did to that Cyclops that they're like, "We have got to fix him." And this entire episode was all about, this is how cool Cyclops is. And you know what? It worked.
It starts with Storm and Bishop showing up at the Friends of Humanity to save Roberto, and then they both get KO'd with an explosion. And then Cyclops shows up and I'm definitely the good guy. And then he Yeah, he starts mopping the floor with people, being a strategist, and then it goes later on. You've got the Blackbird scene where everyone's catching each other, and he's like saying "cool," and then I watched it. I don't know who of you watched it again today. Very specifically, he's like, "Cool, catch you on the ground," and then they go into this animated, like this pro animated scene, which is super fluid, where he's like diving towards the floor, even accelerating and.
Best superhero landing.
It is
I sent a video to the guys a few seconds after that because the way I screamed, the way I was so glad I was alone in the house because people are going to be looking at me so funny. I felt like the furniture was embarrassed for me. Like do you guys? Did you just hear that?
I think, Tebello, you know that I've been a Cyclops stand for.
You've been holding that flag for years.
Yeah. I just want to say something that I think they might have taken that thing and inversed it from the comics. There was a comic where Colossus was falling from somewhere, right? From a cliff or something. So Cyclops saved him by using the optic blast so that he doesn't land, like he doesn't die from the fall. So he would use short, small beams so that, the landing becomes a bit easier as he keeps falling down. So I think they probably saw that. They're like, hey, we're going to inverse it. Instead of using the optic blast from the ground, we're going to use it.
So I need to understand something about these optic blasts, right? Their impact, they don't have heat properties.
No, they don't.
But then there's some cartoons or there's some panels or something somewhere where I see that it burns through stuff.
No, it cut through stuff. It decapitated the
but BuckMeister's right. I think that's before they actually retconned his ability. Because
are you talking about in this season here or in the OG?
No. He's just
I'm talking OG, just across the board. Because
I
remember
OG, it used to be like heat vision.
That's what I remember it to be. I thought like they were saying like it was a Superman ability or something.
He wasn't in First Class, but I think they brought him in either it was Days of Future Past or Apocalypse. He burnt a tree, and the tree was on fire.
Yeah.
And, like people were like, "That's from."
Exactly.
I think he does something with the visors where he can manipulate the blast.
He can change the impact of the blast.
The impact,
opacity.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like,
so
maybe one of them actually burns stuff.
Maybe
it's a setting, I guess. It's an off-on switch.
We can somewhere. Somewhere along the ride, it turns from kinetic energy to heat energy. I don't know how, but that's how it works.
Yeah.
But canonically speaking, I like explaining Cyclops' powers because it sounds so hella cool. It's not necessarily that he's just generating beams. His eyes are literal portals to a dimension where there's nothing but kinetic energy. That is the coolest thing I've ever said in my life. It's like, wow.
But how is that an X power? How does that become when your baby is born? Like, how does the doctor tell you? Oh yeah, your child's eyes are portals to another dimension.
It only happens when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
When you notice boys or girls are starting to develop, and that's when you get your powers.
Yes, the moment testosterone or estrogen hits your bloodstream, it's time.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna bring this up, but people are talking about wouldn't he break his neck when he breaks his fall, and like he was using it in that first fight to maneuver around, which is so awesome. But the reason they started with the other dimension stuff is because people. Back in my day, when you read comics, there were letter pages in the comics.
Yes.
People would try and pick the stuff apart. So they said, but you can't have Cyclops shooting through a wall because then he would fall over because of the
Oh, come on! This is the same when people are like, but Batman can't do that, and I'm like, it's a comic book, dog.
They said it's from an alternate dimension because that breaks Newton's law.
Yeah.
But now they have him again moving himself around. So you're like, wow. I'm like, it's cool. Look, if you start looking at Hulk and Iron Man and this stuff, a lot of it doesn't make any sense.
No, Iron Man does not make sense because he'd be jello in that armor. It doesn't matter how strong the armor is. It can't stop the physics of him jiggling inside of there.
At the same time, there's things like G-forces, there's things like inertia. If you think about it properly.
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, dude, sometimes, are you telling me that you're going to be fighting Thor and you're telling me that that's not going to impact you, like you're not going to have internal bleeding whatsoever, nothing.
You took a
No,
hammer.
you can
took
be
his-
Captain America and you can just block with a vibranium shield and you don't get squashed like a bug.
Yeah, but also I just want to mention something. Even though Cyclops is made cool in this episode, I don't like how. I mean, Cyclops is my favorite character in all of X-Men. I think you guys, Tebello knows this, but you cannot nerf Storm like that. You know what I mean? Yes, the introduction was great, seeing Storm and making that epic speech, but there's no way Storm can just get nerfed just like that so that Cyclops can look cool. Rather not have Storm there, have someone else.
I think they saw that, and that's why they had to do the forecast, give them the forecast scene because they really
Yeah,
had to,
that also
Yeah,
that
they-
also
they
kind
had
of
to make it
annoys me.
up,
But
yeah.
I mean, that also kind of annoys me. But anyway, getting into it,
no,
like
but
the
at
episode
that
one,
point-
they save Roberto, and then after that, they take him back to the mansion and everything, right? And they changed his origin, which a lot of Sunspot fans were pissed about. Like they didn't want this origin. They wanted the original one where he was like it. I think it was like akin to Cyclops, where he was getting chased by a mob or whatever. Like he was in a school where he was like surrounded by a bunch of racists because he was a dark skinned. He was an Afro-Brazilian. I guess that's the correct. If I don't know the terms, okay, guys, you let me know in the comment section down below. But anyway, bro is black. And he was in a racist school or whatever, so they chased him down. And then I don't know the specifics. The Sunspot fans will correct me, but basically his powers manifest because of mob mentality. Like a lot of X-Men, like Nightcrawler had the same thing because they thought he was a devil or whatever the case was. So here he's been able to hide his powers. They also said that they don't like his character design because they did some stuff with it. A lot of Sunspot fans are not happy. That's what I.
They gave him the textbook closet case.
Yeah.
That's like I'm not gay. I'm just one of you guys.
But Roberto has probably one of the best lines in the episode. Like this line cut through me where he talks to Jubilee and he says, "Be an X-Man. I don't even want to be myself." And I was like, that is good. That is what the show is about.
And that hit home. Like once again, you see, one of the things I related the most about X-Men for me is that living in the closet, hating yourself for being born different. You saw yourself in the X-Men because before, yes, I faced discrimination for being black. I faced discrimination, but the bigger shame was this thing that you didn't want to be. And just like the X-Men, it could happen to anyone, regardless of race or creed. You can be that. And then you hear someone say that line that I don't even want to be me. And I remember that's exactly how I felt every day of my life. So it kind of hit home like, oh, I wasn't ready for that type of emotion right now. I was busy enjoying this episode. Now I'm feeling sad.
That's what used to draw people to the X-Men is the stories. I mean, the stories are very personal. So I think, that's what attracted me to the whole X-Men thing too. I mean, it's deep. Like they really dive into deep issues,
I honestly think if done right, X-Men for me, and I've said this before, is one of the strongest IPs in Marvel. If done right, Avengers shouldn't be more like for me. The Avengers shouldn't be more stronger than X-Men in terms of writing. X-Men should be way stronger than the Avengers.
Exactly.
In my opinion. Yeah, but yeah.
And then after that, I think that was the end of the episode.
We can't just
take
skip
down Tyrek, right?
Yeah, first Jean. I think that should have been one of the easiest foreshadowing of the whole point, where Jean was so casually invading somebody's mind, like, oh, that's not the Jean I remember. But you know what? You do you, bro. Go ahead, have fun in this man's mind. And then she sees the whole plot, basically foreshadowing, and then she figures out where the master mold is. Am I correct in saying that master?
Yeah, it's the master mold. It's basically it's the machine that makes the Sentinels.
2.0, because they did have a version 1. And to make things worse, the first time they fought the master mold, people died. It was a very hectic, intensive battle. My big letdown was just how easily they beat this one. It's like the last time you guys fought. It was just an easy fight.
And I think Magneto saved their arses in that, right?
It is.
Yeah. There was that scene with. Sorry, my brain went away. the scene where Jean is going into his mind and she has all those visions. It's also, they've got these specific points in this version of the show where they go all out on animation, and you watch it and it's like it's an anime for like 20 to 30 seconds. You're watching an anime. It's like with the skydiving scene and this scene.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really appreciate that they are going above and beyond to elevate this medium, because we want these shows to be rewatchable. We're only going to get about 8 to 10 episodes now, and this is going to keep it going. It's going to, you know, we were all worried probably that they were going to screw up this reboot. And when you see it, like, no, I'm happy. I can put this safe in my heart and I can hold this, and I don't feel like they've ruined my childhood.
I just want to say something quickly. You could tell that you guys remember in the 90s when these things were being aired on network television, right? There used to be like strict rules, like no guns, or if you show guns, make sure that there's no blood and stuff like that. Don't show people killing each other on screen. No strong language, whatever. But
no strong language. You can't use the word kill.
Yeah.
Pay attention. They use the word destroy all the time because they can't say kill.
Yeah, like how Vegeta would say, I'll send you to another dimension. In the manga, he didn't say stuff like that. Yeah. I'm going to kill you, you know? But now that these things are now going to streaming sites, streaming services, you can tell now that that whole veil has been lifted, you know what I mean? They're no longer, they're no longer limited. Because you can tell, I mean, I think someone said a swear word in one of these episodes. I'm like, hey, okay, this is different.
Not at all. Right in my childhood.
No, for real, someone said like used like strong language somewhere, and you could see some blood and stuff when Cyclops got his ass whooped in the second episode, but we'll get there.
Yeah, so I just, before we close on episode 1, I just wanted to highlight that yes, Cyclops landing and explosion was a good climax moment, but then they picked it back up when Cyclops just said give them the forecast, and you just saw I like the build up. It was like give them the forecast, and then the sentinel was like Omega level threat detected. I was like yes. Yes, queen.
Yeah.
Then turning the sand into glass with the lightning. I was fainting all over again. My legs were in the air. I was like, take me now, Lord. It was one of those.
If Cyclops had the best animations from the episode, Storm on both the first episodes had the most beautiful scene designs, where she's like, I know we'll get to the second episode, but yeah, her in the desert turning the sand to glass.
Yeah.
The next episode where she's hovering in the like, I don't know what you call it, but the top of that White House looking building.
Yeah.
Those are spatial. You can freeze that, print it out, and put it on your wall. It's that.
Yes.
And you can see that she just doesn't do stuff just because she can like use it. Like she doesn't just use her powers like she doesn't think about it. Like she puts she's a bit tactical about what she's doing. You know what I mean?
Diana does it. Why would you try to conjuring a hurricane? No. You're going to generate a whole lot of lightning and make a big ass tornado. Exactly. That makes sense. You know,
I mean, shout out to the Wolverine voice actor. Like, I think I was tough on him when we did the trailer. I think he's doing a pretty good job. I still love Steve Blum. Steve Blum is still my favorite, but this guy is doing. He was the original voice in the '90s show, and he is doing a solid job here. Like, my boy Wolverine here is well represented. And he is taking a back seat, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's like, he can afford.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman ruined
it.
Yeah, no, he's too.
Hugh Jackman ran the character to death, and I think they're just letting people know that there are other mutants in this thing, which I appreciate. Secondly, I also appreciate that he's still an asshole. I mean, the way he flat out threatened to kill the Sunspot, I was like, oh, end simulation.
And also, they made it clear. Okay, there's two things I want to say. The first one is they made it clear that this is not about Wolverine, guys.
Yeah, it's not.
Otherwise, we would have called this show Wolverine, not X-Men. Two, they also made us realize that Cyclops is not scared of this guy at all, bro. Because at that whole basketball scene, like, Crimea River, like, I don't like I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna be threatened by you, dog.
You know.
They already had that show, Wolverine and the X-Men, and you're right. Like Hugh Jackman, if you make Wolverine a great leader, a person with amazing ethics, and like he's super supportive all the time, then why do you need Cyclops or Morph or Nightcrawler or Gambit? Yeah. So I like that they leaned into him being a bit of a dick. Sorry, I should use better words.
I mean, he has been that. Let's be fair to the character. Wolverine has been like a nice guy and a leader and all of that stuff, but he's also been that other stuff. I think the only problem is that when it starts leaning into that love triangle, that's when it annoys the crap out of me, because I'm just like, dude, like, not to bash Jean too much, but I'm like, this woman is boring. I've never been interested by her at all. Like, she's all like, the most interesting I've ever seen is when she's the Phoenix, and even then, it's just like, okay, she's crazy and she kills people. Like, Jean has always bored me.
But you have to remember, when this thing was created, there's something we have to admit. Stan Lee, when he started all these things in the beginning, he did not know what to do with the female characters. They used to be damsels in distress, even though they were slightly more powerful than the other guys. Like Sue Storm, come on. Jean Grey, same thing. So, but he used to make them damsels in distress. And I think when other people took over, some of them really didn't know until that whole Phoenix saga. I think it was Chris at the time. Like, they really didn't know what to do with the character. That's why she was boring. Here, I do get like motherly vibes from her. She's like the mother of the group, and I think it works for what she is. Or what I saw a comment online, someone saying that he hated Cyclops his entire life until he became a father. Now he understands Cyclops. You see, so there's a bit. You need those type of characters. Yes, they are boring, and I agree, but you do need those type of characters.
No, but I'm saying it's like, keep her with Cyclops and keep her away from Logan, because Logan never looks good in that love triangle. There's never any panel where they have that love triangle and Logan looks like a good character. Right. He looks like a creep. He looks like he's forcing issues. He looks like he's always in a penis measuring contest with Cyclops. And it's just like, for the most boring woman, like, dog, you had Mariko. You had like literal assassins for wives. So, like, you can move on. Go back to Madripoor. I'm sure somebody there's waiting for you. Like,
there's an alternate universe where he literally hitched with Hercules, for heaven's sake. And God said it's so Wolverine that that's hubby right there. That man has got wrist for days. He doesn't need to waste it on a plain Jane. Honest to God.
In the dance club, Morph said, "Oh, I know why you might be." I'm paraphrasing. I know why you might be annoyed. Like, and then he morphs into Jean, and he's like, "Oh, I'm having a baby with the most
boring guy.
Perfect baby with the most boring man ever." Another great Morph scene where Morph just
Morph
is awesome, man.
I won't lie, Morph is one of my favorite characters.
Because
like, every time I see him, he spits nothing but facts, and he hasn't got time to waste. Let's
make sure we get our pronouns right.
Sorry. Okay. Side note, guys. I'm sorry. Let me just put it in this context. I struggle with pronouns in general because
I've got my black belts. I've actually been training for years.
Yeah, I struggle with pronouns in general. It comes not from malice. It's just that, and we discovered this with the discussion with my mom. All the African languages, we don't have he, him, or she, her.
Yeah,
it's all centralized on the individual, is that person who happens to be shaped like a man or a woman. So we get animated, I'd refer to a guy as a girl because I'm talking about the subject matter. Even if some girl involved. So don't cancel me for that. I'm so sorry.
Nothing is common, though. It's not just you. A lot of African people struggle with that thing.
So, and
they can't cancel you. You actually you're a card-carrying member. Like, if you cancel, we all done for. There's no chance.
Do you know how many times I've been threatened to being kicked out of the Alphabet Council? I'm a council member of the Alphabet Mafia. I sit in the round tables, and there are members in the table that are trying to give me off the council. So if I don't say out loud...
I thought you were a fan. Huh? I thought you were.
He hangs out with. He hangs out with too many straights. Their straight thoughts.
The council members are all the trans people. The other guys who started the table in the first place. So they're always in the head of the table, and I'm right there next to the bisexuals. So we are always seen as part of the patriarchy. We are just emissaries giving the messages from that perspective. So we are always in that very precarious spot that if we really cross the line, we get kicked out. So
I hear you.
So you guys are the Charles Xavier of the LGBT.
Yes, our job is to create bridges, and I'm just too much of a magneto for them. They're like, Go talk to these people and make bridges like they should all die. We
just
should
have
create
a-
our own Genosha.
I just have a question for Tato and Forge. Who are
Yeah.
your favorite characters? That's like it's a two-parter. The first one is who are your favorite characters in the X-Men, and do you guys feel like the story gives them enough airtime or attention overall, or does it only focus on certain characters? If that makes sense.
Also, you go first.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also down for Storm, like my brother down there. You know, BuckMeister. Definitely like Storm. And who else? I can say, yeah, Magneto is really tight. I mean, I've also liked the villainous Magneto.
Yes.
So for me, yeah, well, reading comic books and stuff, I think Storm does get a lot of exposure in the comic books compared to the animes and the movies and stuff. But yeah, I mean, they try. They give her own
They
series.
keep botching her solos. They keep botching her solos. That's my problem. They don't advertise them. Like every time Storm has a solo, it's like, yo, Storm has a solo? Since when? And then by the time I find out it's done and it's canceled. And I'm like, damn it.
You basically have to go looking for them, But yeah, I mean, they do try to represent her, unless she's with Black Panther, and then he takes over everything as usual. But yeah, no, Magneto is a man, and he's very well represented, and yeah, no, I think his character is on point. Even in the movies, apart from the old guy, I prefer the first class Magneto compared
How dare
to
you? I mean, I was about, you know what, Alexa, play a hero for us right now.
You were my brother.
The younger version of Magneto was portrayed better than the old guy in the movies.
In the movies, the old guy had the best lines ever.
No, he had great lines, but
they no longer
like he was
matter.
gonna collapse.
I think the older Magneto on a philosophical point of view was way better. But I do get what you're saying. Like in terms of action and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, in terms of action, I do agree.
First one is better. Yeah.
The action is actionable. That's all I'll go that far.
All right.
We'll agree to disagree.
Yes, let's agree to disagree.
Because my beloved ex-boyfriend Charles told me that I must build bridges, so I'm building bridges now. Okay.
All right, build those bridges.
and Forge.
Oh yeah, Forge. Yeah.
I'm an OG like Wolverine fan, but I think
the claws.
You can get but you can get very bored with Wolverine because he's been overdone, and he becomes more and more virtuous and predictable every time they do him.
Yeah.
So eventually, there are comics where they write Sabretooth from his perspective, and I'm like, what a great character if he's written well. So I find honestly, it's tricky to choose an X-Men, obviously, but I would say between Magneto and Sabretooth, you can get some really good writing. So Magneto is right up there. Everyone loves Gambit. You gotta love Cyclops. I mean, Rogue is amazing.
Oh no, Gambit in that trench, in that
90s, that 90s
coat. I was like, I never was attracted to any animated characters in my entire life. I was like, no, I don't care about these are cartoons. And then when I saw him, I was like, oh, now I see it.
But people get offended by that. I'm like, he's a Cajun, and have you ever collected like X-Men card, like the trading cards and stuff? Like there's a lot of whack stuff out there, where they're at the beach and I don't know. I don't see people that got freaked out by that. I don't get it. I'm like, he's eccentric. Gambit is an eccentric.
And also, it's the 90s. I saw a post on social media. They were showing Will Smith in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air wearing the same thing but a different color. They were showing like a few people in 90s shows. They're like, guys, this is a 90s show. This is fashion in the 90s.
Yeah, and that's the truth. Yeah.
And just also a quick side note, I based one of the character designs that I made off of Gambit. I don't know if I can find the original pictures and the picture that inspired. If I can put frame by frame. Future Tebello, editing Tebello. Find the picture.
But also,
I know you don't have time. You're gonna be angry with me for suggesting this, but it will work out if you find the pictures. Okay. Thank you.
But also, the creator of Kenshin used two characters based on Gambit. The first one, you remember that guy in Kenshin, first few episodes, who could freeze? Like I think he could freeze you or something.
Gene.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he
And
looks like
also-
him.
And yeah, he looks exactly like Gambit. And then the last arc of Kenshin, the guy that he was fighting, his brother,
I forgot his name. Yeah, him.
he was inspired by Kenshin as well.
Gambit, you mean?
I mean, Gambit, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, speaking of, we mentioned Magneto, but speaking of Magneto, the episode ends with Magneto dropping the bombshell that his old comrade. I'm not gonna push my fanfic on you guys. His old comrade left the entire X-Mansion and everything to him. Because here we also have Jean Grey trying to push Cyclops to quit. It's like, you know what? We need to raise a family. You can't be a dad and a masquerading vigilante. And I was about to say, says who? I mean, look at every hero ever.
It's an uphill struggle.
At that moment, Batman was supposed to come in as like, you sure about that? Like,
well, Batman's son was incubated in a tube by his mom, who drugged Batman and basically gave him, and then made a perfect genetic soldier. So there was no way Damian was just going to be normal.
That's his biological child. He's been adopting kids. He's been kidnapping. I mean, kidnapping. I mean, he's been acquiring children left and center.
Okay, first off, Dick Grayson's parents died. That's very different. And second of all, Tim Drake went to find him. So it's not Batman's fault. These kids showed up on his doorstep and he's like, here's a costume.
Any responsible parent would be like, go home.
Jason Todd was stealing
They had no home. They had nobody to go to, Jeev.
They're an orphanage.
You want to take Bruce, you want the mansion or an orphanage?
Imagine.
I'm picking the mansion.
Exactly.
But then, okay, fine then. Just live in the mansion. Go to school. Study gymnastics. Not put on a costume and travel with me at night to fight the Joker.
Batman tried to tell him not to. Batman tried to tell him not to. Tim Drake forced himself on Batman. Like, if you read the original story, Tim Drake was like, bro, you need help, and I'm here. And Batman was like, go home. And Batman was like, go home. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm Robin now. That's the story.
Get adult help. I mean...
Who is he gonna... Alfred? Alfred just says, okay, I guess he's Robin now. That's how the story ends. And it's Gotham. Gotham is insane.
Yep.
Gotham is not a normal place. Like, people go to work after Joker gasses the entire city.
Which brings me to another slight tangent, but forgive me because I have to ask the question. I've been asking everybody this question. Forge Master, Tato, even a choice between living in Gotham or Metropolis, where would you choose?
Ooh. Forge.
I mean, I would have. This is a big thing on TikTok at the moment. I would have to go with Metropolis. Let's just face that. I'm not. I don't have the street smarts to survive in Gotham. Like, you really got to be sharp to navigate your life there.
Yeah, no, I think, I agree with that one, man, because
here's a follow-up. Gotham or New York?
Gotham.
Gotham.
New York.
Marvel's New York.
Marvel's New York.
Marvel's New York.
Yeah, Marvel's New York.
Marvel's New York?
Again, with Hell's Kitchen and with Spider-Man villains and aliens.
Hey, I'd rather deal with that than deal with the Joker, bro.
You'd rather deal with the interdimensional demon that opens the floor and like bats fly out and like fire and brimstone. Like, Dormammu doesn't go anywhere else. He shows up where Doctor Strange is. And where's Doctor Strange? New York. I'll take me to Gotham.
Galactus, Silver Surfer.
Yeah, Galactus, when he comes to see the Fantastic Four, which city does he pick? New York. He starts eating the planet. He starts eating the planet in New York.
When Namor misses his sugar, baby, where does he go?
No. The X-Men, where do they live? New York, Chief. How many things get destroyed? Apocalypse shows up where? New York. Take me to Gotham. I'm like Joker will poison me and I will die like a regular person. I'm not gonna get turned into or have my soul ripped out. Like some of Spider-Man's villains are magic.
In Marvel's New York, you get unalived. In Gotham, you get kidnapped by Zaz and sliced.
Oh, anybody but Zaz.
Carnage.
Victor Zaz.
Carnage.
Oh yeah,
Carnage.
good point, touche.
Okay, yeah.
Venom.
No, I just want to say, look, I'll choose Metropolis here on a good day, but I always bring to mind that Metropolis is like safe for like 3/4 of the year, up until a boom tube opens.
Yeah, or Doomsday. You know what I mean? Or Doomsday. Doomsday.
Yeah, because the level of devastation that happens on that one day a year kind of makes you really consider about could I have survived? It's like surviving a place that could get a tsunami regularly once a year, or surviving a place that can get sporadic tornadoes at any moment in time.
Hey.
Bro, I remember reading
that's
watching an animated series where this couple was saying, you know what, I think we should go back to Gotham, bro. Metropolis. I was like, you know? But
anyway, let's move back.
That's the thing about Metropolis. Anyway, sorry. Last thing. That's the thing about Metropolis. If I was a Metropolis citizen, I'd be looking at Superman like, dog, why aren't you going to the sun and getting all the powers that you can get? Like, you should literally just be active all the time. Like, and also stop fighting people in the city. Can you just tackle them outside of the city, please? Like, Batman can't do that. He can't tackle Bane or Gotham out of Gotham City or whatever. Superman, you can take the fight somewhere else.
Yeah.
Why are you fighting Zod in the middle of bro? You putting him through buildings, fam? Okay.
Anyway, on to episode 2. Also known as the episode that BuckMeister is gonna hate with an entire passion. I have each episode has a different name that I gave.
No, is it episode 2 or episode 3?
It's episode 2.
It's 2.
Yep, it's episode 2. When I watched at the end of that episode, I felt like, ooh, BuckMeister's gonna shoot somewhere.
Oh yeah.
But that also happens in
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it happens in the comics.
Yeah, and I was mad at it in the comics as well. Yeah.
So what happens is Magneto is now trying to be a hero, and he's fixing the Big Ben Tower, and he's looking all kinds of gorgeous with that cape and those gloves, and it's like he's really bringing his A game. Really, he's like, do I like the change? Well, I've always been angry at mankind, so I'm learning how to forgive alongside him. That's all I can say. And he says one of the most powerful lines in this episode. But anyway, it starts with that. And what annoyed me the most is the way he was pressing that button against Cyclops. Come, my X-Men. Let's go. My X-Men. My X-Men. My X-Men.
But Cyclops was not bothered by that. I was like, oh, okay, fine, whatever.
I was watching.
No, he was touched. Don't do that. Cyclops was touched. Cyclops was even like, "Yo, did the professor not trust me?"
Initially,
he was like, "Did the professor?"
No. Initially, he was, but eventually, he's like, you know what? If the professor trusts you, then.
Yeah, and then I also like there were parts where you could see Wolverine was like, "Whose X-Men are you calling?" Like, bitch, say that again louder and a little closer.
Also, I think Cyclops is a strategist, so he sees it and he's upset, but he's also like, okay, what? It's not going to help if I freak out.
Yeah.
He just like keeps cool. Like he's very. They actually look, we'll get to it in episode 3. It's a bit different, but in the first 2 episodes, they show all the base qualities of him. But Tebello, even if you don't like the Magneto outfit, how was the scene where he's talking to Rogue and he has the old helmet there? I thought that was.
I was like, put it on. Yes.
That was a good touch.
Was Rogue part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants?
Yeah, she was at some point.
Initially, she was introduced as a villain. Rogue was a villain initially.
Yeah, she was a villain.
There's no way she could have been a hero after she did what she did to Miss Marvel. Let's be honest.
Yeah, actually.
Captain Marvel.
Magneto wasn't really part of it. Like, it was weird. There was a phase where it was mostly Mystique running everything. And that's when Rogue was there.
But
Yeah.
in the comics, Magneto and Mystique don't have a relationship like that. Like they barely interact. So how did they square that circle?
I
From
think
what I know.
it was when Magneto was either missing or on another planet or reduced to a baby. Mystique and Avalanche and Blob and Firestarter, can't remember his name.
Pyro.
Pyro.
That was
Pyro.
Brotherhood, and that was when Rogue was involved.
But if you remember, Magneto and Rogue were a couple in the comics, so I think that's what it was alluding to, that they dated before. Which is one of the things we're talking about, that if you
They
didn't
were?
Even if you read Age of Apocalypse,
Yes.
Magneto and Rogue they were hooked up. They were like husband and wife. So
There was a storyline where Magneto, there was like a clone of after the Onslaught.
Is it Zone? What guy?
Then he came back as Joseph, and then him and Rogue also had like a flirtation. I don't know where it went, but there have been, and I get it, when you're doing an animated show, you can't always have the same chronological order, so you might swap things around. I'm okay with that.
I'm saying, so Rogue is really into older dudes. She really likes her silver foxes.
it's because Magneto, actually Rogue and Magneto is the only one who can touch Rogue. He does something to her electrical being, and they can physically touch.
And that's why even though it was not clear, but it was hinted in the first live action movie, like how Magneto just wants to use Rogue for whatever, and there's like this interaction. You could tell it's like a bit of a, like a sprinkle of, hey, remember these two were a thing back in the day?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think it did such a good job in putting that through, didn't he?
Here's a really naughty thought, which I'll try and censor enough.
Ah, don't bother. We are 18 plus here.
You know your top drawer next to the bed, you've got like a whole collection of things there, and some people have collars, and I'm just thinking that Rogue and Gambit should have one of those.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind. You can suppress mutant powers. That's
a good idea.
This on meeting the nation room in 10 minutes.
Inhibit the colors. Yeah.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea.
No, hey, I mean, if he has to compete with Magneto's magnetic field things, he better get creative. Because you saw Morph was pressing his buttons like he was like, I don't know how I'm going to figure this out. I better get, I'm not losing Rogue to this old man.
Yeah. In season 2, when they went to the Savage Land, they were all depowered. And then, Gambit and Rogue were kissing in the jail cell that they were in. And even back as a kid, the first time I saw it, I was like, why don't they just get one of these collars? And that solves, okay.
Yeah. But I think
that's the drama part of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Professor X would be very upset about that, because it's like the purpose of you guys coming to the school is so that you can learn to use your powers and accept your powers as they are. When you guys are using these inhibitor collars, even if it's for those reasons, you might want to use them more often so that you can.
Professor X is the last person to talk.
You can blend with society. I'm just saying. I'm just playing devil's advocate. It's not like Professor X might actually say this, but I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure he'd do the exact opposite.
No, I'm saying Professor X has a history of saying one thing and doing another.
Yeah.
He went and told all the X-Men, you must be proud to be mutants out there, and then he went to go be a human relations specialist where he told nobody he was a mutant.
No, I get you. I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm sure people in the comments are like, you're talking nonsense. I don't know. But I just think if you're using an inhibitor collar at a school where you're supposed to be learning how to use your powers and be proud, be mutant and proud, it's a bit, I don't know.
Yeah, it would be as sound as keeping a power tool in the top drawer of a certain in your bedroom. People don't expect you to keep ladies to keep a power tool in their drawers or in the box under the bed, but they do have them. It's the same thing, I think, in this context.
If I have to find my way around, Professor X will deal.
Yeah,
how?
Like, what are you going to do? Like what? Go into my mind and make me forget that I can use this collar? Good idea.
Fair enough.
The thing is, like, when I've been reading X-Men, like, I just see problems, and I'm like, these characters that people like, they be doing things. We're gonna get into it now, but like, there's something Cyclops was doing, and I'm just like, hey, man.
I have a question as well, just before we get into it. Like, why don't these people have security? Like, why doesn't the X-Men have people that are just out there, just scouting throughout the entire mansion in case anything happens? Because when these guys come and say we came to collect Magneto, it's like no one was aware that it's possible that someone might come to the mansion. That's why Magneto even got to the mansion without them knowing anything.
Yeah,
You know what I
like
mean?
proximity. Okay, with Magneto, I could give him a free pass because he's invaded that mansion so many times.
That in itself is a problem.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, it's like he is the one who's updating the security codes. Oh. And hey, Charles, why don't you change your passwords every month? Do I have to come in there and fix things for you? But okay, wait. I just wanted to highlight something. Oh, to move along swiftly along. In this episode, Cyclops says the most unhinged thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, you know what? Jean, keep reading his mind for every minute of every day for his entire life. I was like, dude, relax.
Yeah, and Jean is like, hell no. Like,
I
doing that.
And she also highlighted a thing about reading minds doesn't mean that you automatically understand somebody's motives.
Yeah.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same reason people used to argue like the Jedi were supposed to have known that Palpatine is evil. Like Palpatine could have played honest, could have been genuinely honest in that point in time, and the Jedi would not have noticed it. But we'll talk about that in a Star Wars episode. Yeah. with regards to reading somebody's mind doesn't automatically give you a free pass to determine. It doesn't give you a lie detector test. I think that's one of the things that I liked that they pointed out in this thing.
That's what I liked about Jean in that episode.
Yeah.
One of them.
Jean.
Yeah, we gotta get into that because
Then
Mr. Extrodin, bro, your man is on trial. You need to explain.
I mean, I love that nigga, man. Even if I try to explain it, it's all good. I just he's my guy, dog. Cyclops is my guy.
Have you watched, if you've watched these TikTok trials that they had in America and the idiotic questions they ask?
Oh yeah, are you?
And then I watched
are you a citizen? Are you a citizen of China? Like, Senator, I'm from Singapore. Have you ever been in China?
He said something about something is extermination. She said, so you expect us to believe if you say that it's extermination, you're just going to sit by and try to abide by his principles? And I'm like, this is really good logic. I've never seen a trial where the people ask such sharp, accurate questions. Ask really dumb questions where they're trying to push their own agenda.
But then it's really hard to prove a counter agenda against Magneto. At that point in time, I was like, this guy, you know what? No matter how hard they're gonna put him on trial, there's no way they're gonna make him innocent in any circumstance.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the terrorist attack, he would have gone to jail.
Yeah, or executed. Treason in many countries is a death penalty offense, including the United States. So, and if I'm not quite mistaken, if you're held in trial in The Hague, you are held in accordance to the country of which you committed the war crimes against. That's why I'm putting a lot of politics in this thing. Like Saddam Hussein was executed for treason because even if he was held in the international courts, the laws that he's being punished by are according to Iraq. So I was like, Magneto, shame. My guy, is this how you die? Is this how my Magneto dies?
Nah, but I mean also because Genosha's in the mix there, and Genosha's joining the UN. Now he's not just a regular dude. He's also like a whole entity. He's the head of a state, so they can't persecute him according to those laws now that he's a head of state because he's got diplomatic immunity and all of that stuff.
Lucky bastard. He took a page from what's his name, Dr. Doom. There, it's like, Dr. Doom has a point. Latveria, I'm gonna find a country for my own. Where?
That's why Dr. Doom never goes to jail, no matter what he does to the Fantastic Four, because they can never hold him.
Yeah.
But
Diplomatic immunity.
I just
No,
wanted to go back to.
that part always pisses me off. The way like he loses, like I have to go now, and like you can't go anywhere. No, let him go. He's got diplomatic immunity. I almost punched. There's a time where I almost punched the screen because, and it was the guy was the voice of reason was T'Challa. I remember it was Mightiest Heroes, and Dr. Doom was like, "You are trespassing in Adveria." He sits on his throne. Leave, and you just see Tony was like, "No, I'm not leaving. I'm gonna kick your ass." And then T'Challa was like, "No. We've got to do wanted. It is time to go." I was like, you?
Yeah, but
He's a monarch, chief. He knows what he's talking about.
it shows that T'Challa is smarter than Tony. Then,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to go to. I just wanted to say, this second episode, and the second episode in X-Men, the original, I think it was the second episode. I think this is the moment where Magneto should have understood why Beast didn't want to to live with him. You remember, because he broke him out of prison, right? This is exactly the same thing that happens. It's just that this time around with Beast, you could say that anything that he was suspected of doing, you could say that he could get away with it. He wouldn't have gone to jail. But with Magneto, on the other hand, there was so much evidence of the stuff that he has done in the past that there was no way he was going to win that thing. Even if he presented himself.
I like his argument. It was so well spoken. Like the one thing that I like about this show is that the level of dialogue they gave these characters is so well thought of. They didn't just slap a line for a line's sake, which is once again proper writing. They can do it. They can do it when they want to.
Magneto's monologue, someone on TikTok, an actor, took the whole monologue from when he was in the court building to when he was up in the sky. And the guy redid it as an actor. And it's so good that when you hear it through a different lens, I have to go like, did Magneto say that? Because I went back and I listened and I'm like, it's very, very well written. You're not
Please send us that video if you got it, because I'd love to watch it.
Magneto and Beast have the best lines. That's what I realized. And Storm. It's just that sometimes the delivery doesn't come out as well as you would like. But Magneto and Beast, wow.
I thought she was gonna have more of a thicker like African accent thing going on. Like they're kind of doing that regal-ish, slightly Jamaican a little bit sometimes.
It's the original actress.
But
that's
it's not a bad job. It's just you wish they had more flavor in there.
Does Wolverine sound Canadian? I don't know, but that's a question that I've been.
Isn't supposed to be?
Yeah, he does.
Oh.
I mean, Canadians are American, basically. So.
Yeah.
Ooh, don't say that to the Canadians.
I know.
Whatever you do not say it in front of you. Will jump you.
When you sit with a Canadian and American, you cannot even tell the difference.
I mean, people forget Canadians are legit.
You don't know what that's about. I'll show you what that's about. I'll give you an about.
Those are the things that I expected to hear from Wolverine, but I do sort of kind of hear it a bit. Like I do sort of hear the Canadian accent there.
I have feelings about that, bud. Yes. Hockey.
Anyway,
so now we have to get to one of the most. It's annoying for me. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to say before we just move on from this whole trial thing. Who talked to Magneto again? It was Rogue, right? Rogue is the one that said like you need to prove to them that basically you're not who you used to be.
Yes.
And so those words basically just, I guess you could say, they ringed in his head when he was up in the sky, and it's like, you know.
No, well, not just Rogue. It was still the Professor thing, because basically the reason why he accepted to take over the assets of the school is because in the original comics it was that whole thing of, okay, let me try and see what Xavier is talking about.
Right.
It's also where he said, I think Rogue also called him out.
Yeah.
When he was talking about that mask, which I didn't believe. Okay, correct me if I was wrong. Back in the good old days, that mask didn't work like a mental block, did it?
Not from what I know. It doesn't block. That's a movie thing from what I know.
No. It's not even in the comics. It's not a movie thing. Even in the comics, it was a mental block.
Yeah,
it was a mental block. Okay,
No,
Now,
but like remember also in the cartoon, in the original cartoon, remember when they were having their big blowout in that
factory thing.
factory or whatever, and Professor X still hit him with the mind bolt
Yes,
that's
thing, and there's still like other panels, and there's still like other panels in the comic books that I remember
I
from
think-
what I've read,
I
where
think
he gets hit with the mask on. So I don't know, is it inconsistent?
I remember he was wearing a mask when they made a parody about him showing the Holocaust, like, oh, effing Holocaust, ah!
I just wanted to say that some of the costumes in the X-Men actually make sense. Like sometimes they might look ridiculous, but when you look at the power that the person has and the costume they wear, it makes sense. Why? Like for instance, Banshee, right? Banshee has those things.
So have him fly.
As a costume, that looks ridiculous, but during a fight or when he actually has to use those things, you're like, oh, no wonder he has these things. So
Where he screams at the ground, and that's how he flies.
But even with Magneto, him having a helmet, you eventually understand why this guy actually has a helmet on all the time.
Coolest helmet. I don't care if people say it's an upside down bucket. It still looks cool.
No, it's cool.
It's cool. It's cool.
Darth Vader
Okay,
has
so
an
now-
upside down bucket, but still people don't complain about it.
So now we need to talk about something that frustrated me, and it frustrated me when I went to read the comic. Is basically they're doing the life death thing with Storm. So in
Yeah.
the comic books, it was Rogue, because Rogue was wilding for some reason. I can't remember specifically, but basically she was wanted by Gyrick and the government and all of that stuff. I don't know if this was off of her Brotherhood days or whatever, but yeah. Anyway, so then Storm goes to console her, gives her powers willingly so that Rogue can feel some sort of connection of some sort, I guess. And then things start going sideways, and then Gyrick comes with the super laser and tries to blast. Gyrick just wanted to hit one of them. He didn't care about who he hit, from what I remember. So he just tried to hit one of them, and then basically Storm saved Rogue from getting hit with the ray, and then she lost all of her powers.
Right.
Which I won't lie, me watching it for the first time in this show was like kind of pissed me off, kind of made me upset, but I didn't get the overreaction that I saw on all the social media, because the social media went ham.
No, the problem is that, like, okay, this is one of my things with the X-Men, and I mean, I'm not going to harp on this for too long because you guys have heard me harp on this forever anyway. But I'm like, for a series that's supposed to be about like the diversity and, you know, the oppressions and everything, and I'm sure like it changes from group to group. It's not one thing specifically, but it does feel like sometimes it's like, you know, like the black character should probably get like more screen time. Like she shouldn't just be disappearing. Now, I know this is in the comic books, but it's gonna take her off screen, and I don't know when we're gonna get back to it. And like it's almost like I think it's no, is it 100 issues? No, I think she loses it in 186. That's the Morlock stuff, but she takes over the X-Men as the leader when she doesn't have her
It's like
powers.
4 years. Apparently, she was depowered for 4 years, if I remember correctly.
Anyway, it was like it was a long time, and it was just like this is panel time that could have been used to start building up her character, and it annoyed me as a Storm fan because I'm like, I don't want to see her go away. So you better figure something out. And yeah, she takes over the X-Men, but like she doesn't have her powers, so she doesn't get to do the X-Men stuff. She kind of has to just direct everybody like Nick Fury style, and then they do the X-Men stuff. So I know Life Death is coming. I know everybody's going to be like, yeah, it's a thing from the comic books. That's what they're adapting. And there's going to be the Forge X Storm shippers that are going to fight the T'Challa X Storm shippers.
How dare you?
Because that's always been a war.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've never been a fan of taking Storm off the board in any capacity whatsoever, because I'm just like, then it hurts the metaphor for me that much, just that much more a little bit. But I'm like, X-Men is the X-Men. It is what it is. It's just for me. I'm just like, not Storm. Come on.
No, it's that. And you know what I also enjoyed about these first few episodes is that Bishop was still there. And Bishop is one of my favorite characters from I think Age of Apocalypse or something like that. I forgot the name. Because whenever
Days
Bishop
of Future Past.
Days of Future Past, yeah. Whenever Bishop is involved, that's when those shit's gone really bad. Bishop doesn't appear when things are going okay. It's like, oh, things are bad, but not that bad. When Bishop comes from the future, you just know things are effed. And that's what I used to like about Bishop appearing. And he's also the way they use his power sets is like, okay, hit me with your biggest like eye laser. I'm gonna be able to I'm going to be able to do something, and then I'm gonna look at you and say you're welcome. I'm not gonna thank you for anything. Um, so with him there, he was another black POV character that we could watch and enjoy. And then what happens in the very next episode? Then he gets taken off the table. It's kind of one of those. It kind of grinded me up a wrong way, but still, I didn't like that Storm had to be depowered.
Yeah.
I loved Magneto. Okay, I didn't understand. I was super emotional, but I grew to understand Magneto's response to it, because I kid you not, if it was me in Magneto's shoes, I would have lifted same bar for bar, lifted him, gone up to the heavens, talked to the council, and then let this one fall. I was like, yeah, now just let him drop.
I don't want to
give
lie
him
to you.
too much.
I feel like this when Magneto tries to look at things from Xavier's point of view and actually do like follow that. The more he does that, the more I actually see his point of view before
Yes.
this.
Yes, I was full on. I had regressed. I was full on Brotherhood moment. I was full on Black Panther. And when I mean Black Panther, I'm talking about the American movement Black Panther. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about Wakanda. I was like, there is no way you cannot build bridges if there are no two equals. If they're going to look down on us, we need to show them why they're looking down on. Throw him. I was at some point I was palpitating on Magneto's shoulders. Good, Eric, good.
This is where the Magneto.
But I think that's another thing.
coming out,
But I think that's another thing that kind of gets weird when it comes to powers and skills, because like Executioner, I believe that's the guy's name in the episode or whatever. Like all of a sudden, Scott Summers is lacking hand-to-hand combat skills because Executioner was just handling Scott, and I was like, oh,
what?
how did we go from episode?
It made no sense. That made no sense whatsoever.
They had some
I was like, oh, okay.
choreography with Bishop where it was. I know that you got annoyed that they nerfed him to some extent, but it was a nice choreography where you had the collar, puts it on Bishop, and then he shoots him. I'm like,
Yes.
it was well.
It shows that he's been planning, which is which something I can respect. That he's been
No, I can
planning.
respect that. Yeah.
Yeah, and but when he did that to Storm, I was shedding the man tears alongside Magneto. Like he saw him, he was lifting them. He just saw the tear going down. Like, yeah, Charles, you're making it very hard. You know, I wanted to end on the like Charles Xavier believed in you. For heaven's sake, please prove him right, because
Yeah.
I'm not about this life. But that's
I was checking the IMDb to prepare for today because you can't see who wrote what episode in advance, but you do get the episode synopsis are all there, like just a little intro, and the episode titles. So the life-death thing is, I don't think episode 2 is called life-death, but it shows up, I think episode 5 is life-death, and it's in 3 parts. So there's going to be, and it's not like 3 episodes in a row. There's life-death, and then there's like 1 or 2 episodes, and then life-death part 2, and then I think the last or the second last episode is the wrap up of Life Death.
I wonder if they're
like
gonna
a
do the
soapy.
whole. I wonder if they're gonna do the whole Forge casts a magic spell and they get trapped, because there's some weird stuff in the X-Men. Like Chris Claremont was very experimental at some stage, because I believe one of their villains was a Native American super god who was like a Beyonder type figure, and it was just like, it's kind of weird that you have the X-Men who are supposed to be the allegory for oppressed people fighting a Native American dude. It was just like, you didn't want to just make him a generic. You didn't want to make him just like a generic, like, and also like he looks like the guy from Spur. You know, like how Spur.
Like a caricature, basically.
And it's just, and I was like, yo, that's the okay. Because I remember some Native American dude wrote a whole article about how South Africa is appropriating Native American culture and how we're messing it up and with Spur and everything. And everybody was like, Ndate is the wrong country. Sorry.
We have a whole soccer team called Chiefs. Relax. You know
You
what I mean?
This coming from a country that tried to sue us for using the term rooibos.
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyway, point. I'm saying. So I don't know if they're gonna. They're not gonna do that. Like maybe it'll change to the Beyonder. Maybe they'll just make it the Beyonder because the Beyonder also messes with the X-Men. The Beyonder is such a weird character to me. I don't know what they're gonna decide with that guy. But
Yeah,
anyway,
but I think the only person that was able to use the Beyonder perfectly was Jim Shooter. He's the one that actually created the Beyonder. And when he left, they just didn't know what to do with him. They just didn't know what to do.
yeah. But I mean, even with what Jim Shooter did,
Like,
it was kind of just like I don't know what. It's kind of like Apocalypse. Like I don't get Apocalypse. Like it's the same as Apocalypse.
No,
to me. Beyonder and
when
it's same
Apocalypse is
what's
properly written, he's just as much of a threat as Thanos became, because Thanos was basically a caricature of Apocalypse. People's
Yes.
like, I don't care what people are going. You can fight me in the comments. But the real big bad guy for the X-Men used to be Apocalypse. Apocalypse was a problem because he didn't see, in his mind, he doesn't see X-Men and humans. All of them is just weak and powerful.
That's all.
That's all he saw. And he believes the strong is supposed to exist and the weak are supposed to die out. It doesn't matter whether you're a mutant weakling or a mutant strong one. It doesn't matter in his eyes. And with that, let me not go into the live representation. This is one of the reasons why I hate this new X-Men movies. But if it's written well, you can get depth of an overarching super threat that you can't even get to fight unless you fight the four horsemen to get to him. It's such a late. Oh yeah, just play X-Men Legends 2.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. It's the same as Vandal Savage. Like, it's all the evolution talking for me. I'm just, and there's so many evolution guys at Marvel anyway. Because I mean, there is the evolutionary as well, who's also all about the evolution. So for me, it's just like, like if we go from Magneto to Apocalypse, I'm like, Magneto, I get. This guy confuses the hell out of me.
Yeah.
So
basically,
Get the Age of Apocalypse. Get that whole comic series, and then you're gonna love Apocalypse. You understand his mind, his character,
and you'll also understand why, in that circumstance, why Magneto said, "Okay, Charles, I'm working alongside with you." It's like,
exactly because there was no chance with Apocalypse. He's just a powerful being, you know. They destroyed him in the movie, like it.
Hey.
But also,
oh god,
like destruction.
I remember there's this panel where Apocalypse walks into the UN building.
Yeah.
Strides up in there, cape and all, and then someone tries to stop him, and he shoots him right in front of everybody. You can even see the smoke coming out of his arm gun thing. I was like, ever since then, I just wanted to cosplay as that guy. I was like, no, get me that cape.
all right, I'll take your guys' word for it. I know I'm the X-Men. I'm the resident X-Men sourpuss, but I'll see.
Yeah, no, it's you've always been a Wakanda fan, so let's rather add Black Panther fan. So
oh yeah, you and your phoenixes flooding my countries. Like explain.
Anyway, shall we move to episode 3 now?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess we gotta talk episode 3. Okay, this one you need to explain to me.
Oh wait, before we go, hold on. I just wanted to highlight when Storm was busy giving her monologue. Shout out to I can't call him, to my main buddy, Morph, because they figured out how to get Logan out of his sour, his better state, because he was there chilling on a tree. He's like, I got snacks and beer. And it's like, I don't want that. Okay, fine then. You're that pissed off. I'm gonna give you some therapy. It's called fight therapy. Gonna come up as your arch nemesis, and you're gonna fight out your repressed anger up until you feel better. I just like, he knows how to make anyone feel. They may press the truth. They may press all your buttons, but in the end, they come from a place of caring, and that's what I like about Morph. They're like, yay, where the show? Like Xavier was like, you better take care of my children when I'm gone, okay? Because you're the only one who can be able to help them. And he's living up to that a lot.
I think I missed that. I need to check that out. Oof.
Just check
Probably
that.
Have to go back and watch that.
He throws potatoes to Green while he's in a tree, and then like he has a 6-pack of beer, and then Wolverine, and then he turns into Sabretooth.
Yes. And then they go
Okay, I should probably go back and watch that because I think I missed that entirely. Oof.
That was brilliant. I just love that little touch right there, the episode. But now let's go to episode 3, also known as the headline is Mr. Extrodin is a prophet, because he effing called it. Somebody better pick up that phone.
Even on the trailer.
First, I need to know.
Oh, you watched the trailer?
Did Cyclops know? I feel like he did, and that's problematic.
Wait, what did I call tebello before we get into it?
Oh, Madeline Pryor.
Your previous
Madeline Pryor
discussed trailer.
Yes, he mentioned.
You said, "Oh, Gina's pregnant. It's probably Madeline Pryor."
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
He watched the trailer, guys. Yay, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Forge. Anyway, getting back to it, Chief Extrodin, did he know that it was Madeline Pryor?
No, he believed Beast from the get-go. He was
immediately.
He did
before Beast. You remember when Jean Grey came in the second episode? He was like, Jean.
And then
my question is, bro, did you put a baby in that knowing that it was not Jean Grey?
I don't think he knew, but he probably had second thought. He was
because in the comic books, it's Madeline Pryor straight. And then also it's still confusing because the minute Jean returns, he's like, Madeline who? I have a son with who?
In the comic, while after the Phoenix Saga, when Jean is not among the living, he meets a woman and he's like, "Oh, you look just like Jean," and then no, I'm Madeline, and it's always this "who is she" thing. But remember, in this show, she had Jean's memories. Jean did not have her own memories, so Cyclops, I think, would believe her because she was more like Jean than Jean was herself at the time.
No, but I'm saying like the way he believed Beast right out the gate, I was just like, dog, you should have wrapped it up, my guy. You cannot have a child if you're living under that type of suspicions. I think that's wild.
I think it's because of two reasons. One, we have mentioned earlier that the pacing is just way off. In this show, but also
way too fast.
I don't think Beast has ever given Cyclops a reason to doubt his any results that he comes up with after doing some tests. So that's why he was like, okay, if Beast says it, then it's true.
I would fight.
It was cold though.
Logan would have thrown hands. Like, no ways. Like, you can't tell me that this is okay.
Shout out to Beast explaining how he figured it out. I just love those moments where they add a little bit of scientific know-how to show that I'm not smart because the writer put PhD in front of my name when I was developing this character. Let me prove to you that I did something that's tantamount means carbon dating each DNA sample, and it shows that this one goes according to the norm, and this one is way too young. And I also like the way that he figured out who did this thing in the first place. I mean, people, especially in the Marvel universe, Marvel and DC both, that we are cursed with the moment that somebody is smart and a doctor has the potential of becoming a super villain. And
look, for me, that's why, if I'm being honest, like Beast is also one of my favorite characters, but I wouldn't mind if Beast is just in the lab all day and is not even fighting though.
Yeah, because that's why he shines the most.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's why he shines the most, honestly speaking. I mean, I remember in, what was it, the first episode or the second episode, where they're like, how's Sunspot's doing? He's even talking about the dude's cavity, dog. Like, it's like, apart from this cavity and this guy's fine. It's like, you checked everything, dog. Even this guy's dentals? That's amazing. But anyway, maybe I'm being too much of a nerd right now. But
no, Beast brings out.
It's called Nerdgasm, Chief. Too late.
Like and subscribe. Ding.
I think it's a pacing problem, BuckMeister. I think had they given it at least one more episode or two more episodes.
Because like I'm just saying, like, Cyclops, from his reputation, I've just known him to be terrible with women.
Right. But if you think about it, whether it's from the comics or the show, okay, not the show, but from the comics, it makes sense why he would fall in love with Madeline so easily and even marry her and have a baby with her. It's because he was still mourning Jean. right? And I mean, if you're
Rebound.
warning someone and you see someone that looks exactly like the person you're warning,
Yeah, but you have a baby
It's
with
bad.
the rebound? That's wild.
it's
Well,
bad. It's
you're all-
bad from a psychological point of view because you're not moving on, but at the same time, it's the next best thing.
You know, it wouldn't be. It's so unfortunate he was not living with somebody who had a PhD in psychology who could have helped him and can actually access his mind and help him repair. Well,
No, but remember, at this time also Cyclops left the X-Men. If you remember, he left in the comics around this time. He left the X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's the Emma situation, which I'm just like, yeah, what?
Yeah, Emma Frost.
Yeah, look, the White Queen situation for me never made sense, to be honest. But like I said to Tebello, I think a while back, Cyclops just has a thing for people who can use telepathy. I don't know, or
yeah,
telekinesis.
you see, that's the problem. You see,
Mr. X.
Cyclops and telepathy and
Yeah.
Wolverine and redheads.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Like somebody said that Cyclops is a great leader, but you can't ask him to be a good husband.
Yeah, I mean the way he
You
was
have
so
to
cold
pick
to
one or
the
the other.
other Jean. Jeez. I
He
mean,
watched a lot of anime, bro. He watched a lot of Oh, Goku does this. Oh, okay. This one does this.
Peace. Bye.
Like at the end of the episode when he was talking about I will not abandon my son, he leaves the room and I'm like, dog, hey, wait.
Yeah, and, you know, I think it shows, going back to what Forge was saying, it shows that there's different writers for these different episodes. Because the Cyclops that we saw in episode 1 is not the Cyclops that we're seeing in episode 3.
yeah.
Those are two different people.
I checked, they did have the same look. They combine different writers, but the main writer is on all three because you can only see once the episode releases who is actually writing. But I think my opinion is they set up Cyclops in a specific way in episode 1 and 2 because in episode 3 when he loses his cool, like when Jean gets to that room, the room's trashed, and you're like, oh, okay, so there is like he's not showing it always outwardly, but he did go back and trash the room, which is really childish. But like his frustrations are boiling over. He's losing his cool, and that I think that's why you've seen a different side of Scott in episode 3.
And you do see that they're sort of like, they're sort of hinting that Cyclops is gonna leave. That I'm sure his leadership is gonna deteriorate as the episodes continue, so that Storm can come in now and replace him. And if Magneto also just says, you know what, screw this, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm just gonna go back to my ways, right? Because clearly, almost every episode, that's like the theme songs, it seems like they change according to the storyline. Have you noticed? Because the first episode they show Professor X, right, in the theme song, but the second one, they show Magneto before they show Cyclops to show that he's now the leader, he's in charge. Yeah. So it's quite interesting that they're doing.
Okay, but let's also talk about the horror aspect of this episode because they really went anime.
Yeah.
Somebody was watching Junji Ito for
or something.
The whole rogue Magneto melting into each other.
Hey.
Were they naked?
Yes.
Yeah, Magneto was burning.
Like, did they have their clothes on and then they like melted into each other? I can't remember.
They had the Savage Land outfits. Like Rogue looked like there was a Savage Land arc which she had kind of like torn, so it's kind of like a tank top version of her outfit. Yeah.
Oh, so she was like almost like they skirted the PG-13 and then melted the bodies.
Magneto was full on, though. Magneto was like full on.
Poor Gambit. Maybe that's another guy that needs to move on as well.
I'm gonna just put you on hold for a little bit.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Not a problem.
But
yeah.
I think you're like going back to the pacing of this thing. The fact that Madeline then starts accepting that she's not Jean Grey, right?
Well, the Senator just activated his protocols, I guess.
But just does a 360 like that. That was just way too quick for me, bro. Like, no.
Yeah, and then also like Sinister. What is his obsession with Summers and Greys having babies? Like every plot I've seen him in, he's what, genetic matchmaker?
He said it in his.
They make the ultimate child, basically, like their two DNAs create ultimate.
To what? To fight? Is it to fight Apocalypse or something?
I don't know what Sinister's
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mister. Because I'm sitting amongst elite, knowledgeable people. Yes, I might get it wrong, but all I remember is from Age of Apocalypse, there was a undergoing storyline that showed that Sinister was trying to stop Apocalypse, and the only way you could do that was to create basically Cable, and
and then poison him.
I was trying to make him invulnerable, but
Yeah,
In Asia, I thought what you were going
the
to say.
poisoning, there was rationale behind the poisoning. It's not like you just wanted to poison the kid. Yeah.
The virus actually affects the whole world. So Cable is actually has the antibodies to that virus.
and the
But
problem
he's
is
always falling apart. Like
No,
that's why
and
he uses guns, because he can't use his powers.
because that's the thing. Now he's used most of his powers is now focused about keeping his powers at bay. There are many storylines where Jean and Summers have a child, and he's so powerful, he's beyond Omega level.
Apocalypse has X-Men. That's what I thought you were going to get to.
Yeah, because
Wait, is that Nate Gray?
Yes.
Yes.
Wasn't there? Oh, no, just a quick tangent. Wasn't there like some time when he was making out with Madeline Breyer?
Ew.
Okay.
I don't know who the hell wrote that, but I don't know anything.
Oh gosh.
Wow, the Targaryens
not-
suddenly woke up.
X-Men is weird, dog.
The Targaryens are like,
as somebody who didn't grow up reading this stuff, sometimes I'm just like, yo, some of these plot lines is where is this going?
What I've noticed
Xavier at one point, faked his death to test his team, and I was like, bro, the amount of hands I would have given that man for all of that stress. Oh my god!
I think
You know
there's
what
a
I've
panel
noticed about-
where Wolverine throws him down the stairs because he gets sick and tired of his PS.
What I've noticed about the comic book industry at that time, especially back then, is that these writers were trying to outdo each other, right?
Yeah.
And also, you needed to keep these comic books on the shelf. So that's why some of these storylines are just so weird. I mean, there was a point where I think the X-Men were vampires or something. I don't know if you guys remember that era. So I think that's the thing. Like you would come up with the most random, weirdest stuff just to keep these things on the shelves. And that's the problem. That's why some of these storylines are just inconsistent with the characters. Like that's why you had a problem with X-Men versus Avengers at a point, BuckMeister, because
Why?
we just want to.
They just like that whole thing was just drama for drama's sake. Like people are so inconsistent. Captain America was inconsistent as hell. Storm, like I don't see her siding with Namor after she flooded. Like there's even like part of the comic after T'Challa was forced to annul their relationship that she tries to come and help with the damages. And it's just like, why would you side with the X-Men at all if you're just like, yeah, this was bad? Like Storm, I know she wouldn't have been doing that. But anyway, like, yeah, point being is, but yeah, getting back to this episode, I did like the animation stuff was really cool. Some of the team up stuff was also really fun. And I guess I found the Jean sequence a little bit corny. I don't know. Like the whole mind break thing where they're fighting over their memories. I get what they were doing though.
Personally, not to sound contrary, be a bit of a contrarian, I liked that the most, especially in regards to Jean. Jean has absolutely zero hand-to-hand combat aptitude whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that she can move stuff with her mind it doesn't nearly compare to her usual flaw. One of the common scenes you see here in the old X-Men movies was, and I'm thinking, girl, just stay home. You could help him make sense. It's okay. And I think somebody just saw all that and like, you know what, Jean, it's okay. You can stay home. You can just be Point Break. You can replace Xavier at that point, I guess. And that's what she did, and that's how she helped. I think for me.
No, I'm not faulting the scene. I'm just saying, like, for me, the whole your baby was born, so you just need to remember your baby and everything. And I was just like, so Jean, you want to tell the woman that was, that basically took your man, that here's, you have a baby with this guy, so you don't need to be evil anymore. I'm like, that's going to be a weird circle to square
I think,
after all of this.
I think what she did was show her that the only thing that she did that has meaning was to have the baby. Remember, her memories aren't hers. Her life wasn't hers. Basically, she was genetically modified to do things. So now she's trying to find her own identity past
Yeah.
Jean because they're busy looking at each other and saying that everything that I am is you. You know what I mean? So what does that make me if we are without then? But then of the two of them, the only thing she has is that baby, and now that baby, the thing that makes you an individual, you've given away to a man who's actively trying to destroy it. And I think that just snapped the hypocrisy out of her mind because, girl, you're much more powerful than that. Like, I was like, that mind control chip ain't ever gonna work on Jean. Are you sure? And I'm like, I thought she was gonna relapse and become full on Phoenix. It's like, that makes more sense. But like, you just mind control Jean like that? That's anyway.
It sounded like that scene gave BuckMeister Martha vibes.
Wow.
Why did you say that name?
Yeah, yeah.
Ethan!
It's also okay. Even though I do have it is criticized a lot. It's one of my favorite scenes in Days of Future Past is the moment where Charles talks to Charles.
Oh yeah, that hope speech.
That hope speech, I love it, but I also understand the criticism about it, and it's giving the same. The only person who can stop Jean is Jean. Type of vibes.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just the whole thing for me was like, okay, I get why they're doing this and all of that stuff. It was just like, it just made me look at Scott and I'm like, bro, why didn't you think like if you had any suspicions, like this is the worst time to have a kid with somebody if you're suspicious that they're not who they say they are.
Actually, some people thought that the show was gonna tweak the storyline a bit and actually make the real Jean pregnant, and then have Madeline Pryor come in as a clone just to
I
confuse.
thought that was what's going to happen because like
That
the
would
other
have
thing
been-
was.
Yeah.
Because the other thing was is that, like, from my understanding, I thought Jean Grey was his mama straight. I didn't know it was Madeline Pryor. Because when Cable meets up with the both of them, he treats Jean Grey like his mom. So that's why I was confused, and I thought that the show was just going to make it Jean Grey regular.
Yeah, look, at this point they were trying to bring Jean back, but at the same time they didn't. I feel like X-Men started this whole retconning thing started with the X-Men, honestly.
Yeah.
Because basically they wanted to bring Jean back, but they couldn't find a great way to do it. So Madeline was.
And I think one of the way they did it is because back in the is it the Silver Age or Golden Age of comics? They had an annoying set of rules where if somebody commits unforgivable crimes, they need to be wiped out. They can't come back. So Jean Grey, the Phoenix, unalived an entire planet by destroying its.
Yeah, that's Golden Age. That's Golden Age because
That's
Silver
Golden
Age
Age.
they wouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
Silver Age they wouldn't have cared. Silver
Yes.
Age they did
So-
whatever they wanted.
I'll tell you why it's silver. The Fantastic Four was created in the 60s, and the 60s is the Silver Age. So there was no way that the X-Men could have been made in the Golden. Golden is like 40s, like around the time of Gardner Fox.
No, when they talk about okay, then I think we're talking about two different ages because
But
like, the
there was an
thing is-
age of restrictions.
Yeah.
I think it's just in the
What
Twilight
you
of
guys
the
are talking
Silver Age.
about- I think what you guys are talking about is the Comics Code Authority.
Yeah, that
Yes,
useless.
yes.
I just don't remember what time the Comics Code Authority came in. It's probably in the 40s. I think BuckMeister is right about that. But X-Men was not during the golden age of
Yeah.
comics. It was in the silver age.
So the unwritten rule.
okay.
So they
Yes.
initially planned to kill Jean off, but the fan response was so overwhelming because finally this character was so interesting. Because I bet you that she was just as boring in the comics, and now she's this interesting, nuanced super villain who's so powerful that even the Kree and the Skull Empires are like, okay, we are scared of Galactus, but now we're even more scared of this woman.
Yeah, the Phoenix.
During that time, a lot of the X-Men left the team, and then that's when they launched the first X-Factor comic. Because X-Factor, when it started, was actually the original 5 X-Men.
Right.
They said, okay, we have to bring Jean back, but we can't bring her back if she was the Phoenix Force. So that's where they retconned it, and Reed Richards found a cocoon in the bottom of the lake,
Yes.
which when you in the 90s, they released these little fold-out pamphlets that would explain the history of some of the X-Men characters. And it would sound so like impressive, like, wow, that's such an intricate storyline. But when you go back and you read the comics, it's so obvious that they're just retconning.
Yeah.
You were right, Mr. Extrodin.
Well, anyway, it is comics. Retcons happen all the time. So then after that, what's this? Madeline breaks out of the mind control. She waxes Magneto. Like, I thought Magneto was going to do a lot better than he did, because I know he's just the master of magnetism. I understand that. But I'm like, after what they did in the last episode where he took people into space, I was thinking, oh, okay, he's like, that's the thing about, I think, this show, and maybe also the pacing, is that sometimes the power level inconsistencies are so huge that you get confused.
But also, he didn't wear the helmet. You see, that's why he should have worn the helmet.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
But she didn't attack his mind. She just basically overwhelmed him with metal.
No. You know that scene where the whole building was going crazy and people were having hallucinations? I was like, Magneto, where's your helmet? Where's your helmet? At this point, I was like, oh, whoa, whoops, boom.
No, I'm just talking about when they meet her and Magneto's like, fan out. And then she just waxes the whole team. And then I'm like, okay, Magneto's here. All right, let's see how he does. And then he gets overpowered by metal.
Which kind of tracks? Because bar for bar, Jean has always clapped Magneto's cheeks whenever she stops holding herself back. Jean has always been her own biggest weakness. I think they touch a little bit on it on the X-Men movies and stuff like that. That Jean saw the amount of destruction she can create, and so she literally compartmentalized herself into this.
That was Charles Xavier, bro.
Yeah, Charles Xavier locked her mind up.
Crimes. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. So
without her consent, by the way.
That's just messed up.
Yeah, your guy, ne?
But it is interesting because Cable is actually supposed to be Jean and Cyclops' child. So this Madeline one is just a weird one for me.
Also, is Hope Summers also the daughter of Jean and Scott?
Some version in some timeline.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, isn't Rachel, the Rachel Summers character?
Rachel Summers.
Future time, alternate.
Yeah, I don't know.
And let's not forget, Cyclops does also have a brother, so there are lots of Summer children out there.
He has two brothers. It's Havoc, and there's what's this other guy?
The Starjammer guy. Corsair, there we go, Corsair.
Also, there are lots of Summers being popping left, right, and center. Really, I think the most powerful characters is if Ned Summers was not nerfed, he'd be one of the most powerful characters. And the only other very powerful mutant they have is Reed Richards and Sue Storm's baby,
Franklin.
Oh, Franklin.
Yeah, Franklin is right up there.
It's also the daughter, right? What does their daughter do? Because they also have a daughter.
No, Valeria is just smart. She's just one of the highest intellect. She doesn't have any powers. Like, she got the opposite end.
So she got her dad's powers, basically.
That's she can't
stretch. She can't do anything. But she's
of intellect.
Yeah.
If I was her, I was like, Dad, I'm going to go. I need to go up to space and find those cosmic rays because I cannot be left. Look at my older brother doing everything. What am I supposed to do? Think? You're gonna take me to outer space right now. Otherwise, I'm going to Latveria.
Actually, that's how she got her name. She was delivered by Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom was so petty that he was like, I will save your daughter just to prove that I'm better than you, Reed Richards. And that's why her name is Valeria, because it's supposed to be Victor. It's the female version of Victor.
So, Uncle Doom, I want to have powers. Can you please take me to space? Doom does not feel like you need to have powers. You have power. You are powerful enough as you are. Uncle, if I don't get my powers, I'll go to space with myself and I'll prove to everybody that I'm smarter than you. Get into the ship.
I think he's her godfather. I think he's her godfather.
That makes sense. But just going back to this, I think we didn't really get much from Mr. Sinister in this episode. I think it just feels like it was a plot device.
That's also what let me down. Usually it takes episodes to get to the climax between him. And how did Morph know exactly where his lair was? I was like, this entire time?
I think from the original X-Men one,
Yeah.
I guess Sinister just never moved.
Hey man, he was like, the rent is great. You know,
Yeah.
the rates are not so bad.
I'm saying
Municipalities not
bills
charging
cool.
overtime. Yeah,
The
I don't
landlord
get load shedded.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't get load shedded. You know what I'm saying? It's grand was. I just painted. Why would I move?
Why would I move?
Furthermore, I just to quickly add to Sinister has always been an extremely arrogant and overconfident character. That's one of his biggest weaknesses. I can understand if he didn't move for that reason because I don't know if anyone knows. Yeah, I'm going back into the PlayStation 2 days now. Who remembers the Deadpool game, the old OG Deadpool game?
Deadpool.
Was it
This
PlayStation?
is me, mother.
Yeah, I played that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was PlayStation 3.
yes, where Deadpool ends up fighting against Sinister.
My
in his very close-
my favorite song I think from that thing was "Who the fuck is that? He's a man at a time. Who the fuck is that? He likes to fight crime. Who the
Yeah.
fuck is that?"
And funny enough,
His name's Cable.
Cable also appears in that game, now doesn't he? And
Yeah, he does.
he bores Deadpool to the point where he shoots himself.
Yep.
Yeah, there's like he listened carefully and he starts talking. It's like, wop.
Like, please put me out of my misery.
I've never played it. I don't know.
Oh, it's a brilliantly funny game.
Worth playing.
Yeah, so I just wanted to. It shows Sinister's character, but the thing that you see in that character, Sinister has got clones for days. Where even when Deadpool sneak attacks and kills Sinister, and he puts it on his social media, and you just see Cable like, that's not the real Sinister, idiot. Like, of course he is. Look, he's dead. Like, look behind him. There's a number on his back.
But speaking of that, have any of you guys read that whole Sinister storyline that came out last year, X-Men?
I
Where he's
read
got the
some
long
of
hair.
it and I got confused.
Nope.
No, basically where he was cloning members of the X-Men or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And the storyline would continue in other issues of X-Men related stuff. It was like a whole mess, man. Like, that's the thing about Marvel. Like, if you want to read Spider-Man, you have to read Superior, Spectacular, Amazing. Like, yo, can't I just read one comic that...
No.
No.
You need to. How am I
No,
supposed to
you
take
know
all
what
your
the
money?
worst is? You know what the worst is? When they have something that's going on in Amazing, and then it's like 5 issues of Amazing, and then they're like, you got to read Spectacular, and then it's like 5 issues in Spectacular, and then after that you got to go read Astonishing, and then it's 5 issues in Astonishing, and then you got to go read 5 issues of Web of Spider-Man, and it's just like, good God, just collect it all, please. Just put it in one omnibus because I'm so sick and tired of jumping around.
This
Yo.
is exactly how I felt when I was forced to read Age of Ultron, the comic. My God. Oh wow.
Same thing.
Because I was anticipating something as dark as the actual comic version of Age of Ultron, not the movie. Because the movie we'll not talk about the movie today. But
No.
Age of Ultron is dark.
Yeah.
And it goes to the point where Wolverine ends up killing Ant-Man because Ant-Man is like, we won't bother listening to him. And I was expecting something that gritty, and then you go back to the future and you see still a mess and something like that. But even when you're reading that storyline, you see that there's a whole lot of references to that comic of that time. And I think there's a future where there's this super B tier villain who's now super villain. There's like Lady Morgan or something like that. She's so overpowered
Oregon.
now because of something that
I
happened
think it's
in
Oregon, right?
some other comic. I was like, who's got this? This is how you guys keep my money, because how am I gonna keep?
Yeah, and also I think they're doing the same. The MCU is doing the same thing now with these Disney Plus shows. It's like, okay, you want to know what's going to happen to Daredevil next? Watch Echo. Okay, like really?
You know, in the comics, Gambit and Mr. Sinister are connected.
What? How?
Yeah, didn't Gambit change at a point? I think he was looking like he had white hair at a point, and then he looked all blue and whatever. I think.
Gambit is supposedly a clone of Mr. Sinister or something like that.
The
But
eyes gave it away.
Wait, so then he's not a mutant?
Not really.
Look, I think they're both mutants, but
No,
I'm
both of
not
them
an
are
expert
No,
on
but
that one.
I'll have to
Sinister's a
check that one
mutate.
out.
No, Sinister's a mutate. That I know for a fact. Like he
Yeah.
mutated himself. He's not a mutant. That's why he's so obsessed with mutants, because he's so obsessed with their genetic material and how they came to be that he wants to create his own mutant type of thing. I know he's never been a mutant. But a Gambit I know has been a mutant. I don't know if they retconned it to make him a clone. I don't know.
No, it's one of
Yeah,
the storylines. So it must have been alternate universe.
Look, there are a lot of even in the comics. There's a lot of stuff. For instance, in the early comics, Kitty Pryde and Wolverine would interact, and he would move through her. And then at some point in the late 90s, they retconned it so that she figured out that Sabretooth had adamantium, because when adamantium goes through her, it's super dense and it hurts her. And it's kind of like, well, if you read the old, they can't always keep these things straight, unfortunately.
They can't.
I just want to show you guys this, but it's basically when Apocalypse, I think, turned him into one of the Four Horsemen. I remember.
Oh yeah, it's
No,
the same.
the Four Horsemen is something else. The Four Horsemen
Yeah.
is something.
Yeah,
Like, 'cause they're always mutants.
But when you see him, he kind of looks like Mr. Sinister.
yeah.
You see that?
I remember this part because it's from the same panel where he walks up in the United Nations and blows somebody up.
Right.
It's from that same period. That's when it was him and Sunspot, and I forgot the other
Yes,
two.
it was no, it was not. Was it Sunspot?
Yeah. He was
Yes,
one of the four horsemen.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Because I think at that time,
Okay, and then I think we're done with the episode, right?
Yeah, we are done. I think
Basically.
we should wrap things up. I think we've gone on far enough.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Just before we wrap up, though, I remember we was gonna. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Forge.
What were you saying?
Gambit was a clone of Sinister with some of Scott Summers' blood mixed in, which technically makes him the third Summers brother. That's
Wow. Which
The fourth, brother.
also explains his powers. The way Sinister has a boner for
Cyclops.
Cyclops, it's sometimes so disturbing. It's like it's giving Orochimaru vibes at some point. You know, Orochimaru and
Hisoka.
in Hisoka's like, relax, guy.
Before we wrap up episode 3, did you feel in that hallucination scene where Wolverine talks to Morph that they were alluding to the fact that Morph might be gay?
Oh, please, yes. I was thinking like, you want me to
definitely.
Well,
that-
no, the
you
thing
have
is,
to
Morph
face
is
this.
non-binary. I'm saying Morph is non-binary, so I guess
Okay.
he has to be on that spectrum.
So you,
Well, he's pressing A+ for representation from the get-go. Oh, correction. They're pressing A+ for representation from the get-go. I was so like, yes. I know everybody. I know all the hardcore stars are like, no, not Wolverine, not him. Wolverine is straight, and I'm thinking,
I mean, the way they portrayed Wolverine in the shower, I mean, that was crazy.
I think what they'll do is they'll allude to things. Look, okay, in my like we said about X-Men, you always project your life onto the
Yes.
X-Men, and that's why it works.
yes.
And I think that's how they'll handle that, because they hint at it very, very strongly, but they leave it open enough that you can do your own interpretation. It was the same. There was a scene in Deadpool 1 where he smacks a guy's ass, and they kind of shot it in a way where it's not obvious, but you know it happened. Because Deadpool is also bi, and some people are just
No,
not...
Deadpool's not bi. He's got this thing where what did they call it? Not
Pan.
no, not necessarily, because like the thing is with Deadpool, he's never been with a dude. It's always like he can say a dude is pretty, and like they can like frame it as such, but when you look at his list of romantic relationships, it's always been women, and also it's always been like he's always making juvenile jokes about women. But like you'll be like, hey, that's a really good looking dude. If I was, I would definitely
So
be.
it's
in it.
There's a panel where he's tied up with Spider-Man and he's saying, I'm a red-blooded person, and their way of wriggling is gonna make me hard.
So it's basically Bugs Bunny vibes. Remember Bugs Bunny would kiss characters, but nobody actually thought that guy was gay. Like nobody. You know what I mean? But he used to kiss a lot of characters.
Yeah, Yeah, like he'd kiss Elmer Fudd in the face, and you're just like, yeah, that's Bugs Bunny being Bugs Bunny. Yo, look at him holler at Lola, and you're like, oh,
Canonically,
okay.
Deadpool is pansexual
Yeah.
according to like official law. So
That much I
Oh.
know.
Well, they never
thing-
explored the pan
the
part
things
because
he
that's
did-
every comic.
But also, going to LGBT law, there's some people that are pan, but that they do have an affinity for one gender over another. Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, I've seen people. That's why the pansexuality is more nuanced because they can, even with trans relationships, you could find a pan person who loves female presenting individuals, even though they may identify as a certain trope. So that's we are going into the world. We are going into my world. My council members are going to reinstate me with this explanation. Thank you.
Guys, just going back to this quickly.
Awesome.
I know we have wrapped up, but I just have a question. I do know that they used, like Madeline used a Cerebro in one of the episodes, but my thing is, if Magneto is saying that he's going to carry on what Charles's legacy, why aren't they looking for more mutants? Yes, they did find Sunspot. Yes, I get that, but why isn't this like an everyday thing of finding more people to
I'm hoping it's a subplot.
They gotta do the stories. They can't spend every episode doing gallivanting because then, somebody's gonna say it's repetish, and then also they have to expand on the subplots, and also because of the pacing, I guess.
Yeah, the pacing is
just
a little
before we
off.
wrap up though, we should cover what happened with DeMaio. I don't know if you guys know the guy who was the creator,
the writer,
or not the creator, or the writer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
fired.
Yeah. So, I mean, he had controversy with how he was handling Sunspot, as I told you guys earlier before. But then there was also the thing of him getting fired because he had an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's a weird situation because I think he's supposedly in the LGBT. I'm not sure. I was just trying to do my research on it, but I think
in
he's supposed to
2024.
be in the LGBT.
Yeah, I think people
Yeah,
were about it because they were like, really?
because he wasn't doing spicy stuff. He was doing what a lot of people do. He didn't go all the way. Apparently, he had the OnlyFans, but some of his newer content was going a bit wilder. And then I don't know.
You do diligence before you hire these people. Why fire them while they already? Why didn't you do diligence before?
This is screaming overload Disney trying to interfere and put his thumb.
Because they did the same thing with Gunn. They did the same thing with Gunn, where like basically they did it twice with Gunn, which I'm sure Gunn was like, "Yo, that's twice." So I don't know. Like my stance on it is that like if you knew the guy, don't hire him and then want to change your mind afterwards. Yeah. That's kind of whack to me.
The same argument I have. Remember, there was that one character in The Mandalorian, that lady.
Yeah.
Gina
Carano.
Big lady.
Yes, and turns out she was espousing some transphobic things, and she wrote some transphobic things years ago in Twitter. And now somebody looked it up, and then suddenly, oh no, you're fired now. I think they kind of knew. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I think the problem is that she doubled down afterwards. Like after it came out, like Gunn kind of got out in front of it. And with the DeMaio thing, it's like, yeah, OnlyFans is a personal thing. I don't think you're supposed to mix it with work. But Gina Carano, I think she came out. Not that I remember exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, just getting back to Bo.
I just wanted to say in that context is that the host company saw that, they knew it, and they still ran with it, and that's the biggest problem. That now they're swinging back with this character who's been doing, from what I'm seeing, from all my intents and purposes, doing all right. The work he's producing, that's what I'm saying. And for me, it's just thinking of Disney bureaucracy trying to put its fingers on all the pies, to put its signature somewhere, to show that people who's boss. Because heaven forbid if they have another David Filoni, they will lose all the hair they have in their head because they can't give someone that much power anymore. So I think that's my problem.
I think whoever's recruiting creatives or the talent in all these projects, someone is not doing their due diligence there, because before you hire someone, you need to check out their social media profiles and all of that.
And I'm pretty sure they also have open disclosures, because before you sign contracts, I know some people implement, like in the banking industry, you can't get a job if you're under credit bureau because it's a conflict of interest or something like that. There are also places where if you're going to be working in a public environment or working in a company that has a certain brand, you can't be known to do certain activities.
Right.
So you need to have an open disclosure with people hiring you, and then they're the ones who decide whether it's okay or not. So here I'm just telling you, there's a nitpick contract bias that happened here. That's kind of politics. That's all I'm saying. There's some office politics happening here. That's all I'm sensing.
Unless they just wanted to, like, they just really wanted to push him out because maybe he was just making certain decisions they were not happy with.
Yeah.
You know, there's.
I can feel a disturbance in the force. It's just a feeling from the force.
Yeah, no, I just like we should, it was just a thing because it was like a lot of people are just like, enjoying the show, but they did do something where it was just like, sure, you guys have done that. And I think,
yeah, we'll find out how it goes because the Mandalorian still turned out all right. So let's see how this one goes. So yay. Final reviews, score is 2 out of 10, everybody.
As a sourpuss, I'll give it as the resident sourpuss, I'll give it a 7. Thought it was all solid all throughout the way. Yeah, it was pretty good.
I'm impressed. I was expecting a 5, but yay, well done, boy.
It might have been a 7.5 had they not done this whole life death situation. That really made me mad.
Mr. Forged, what are you scoring so far out of 10?
Look, I mean, I'm biased. X-Men was my life at that time when I watched it, so I would be like 20 out of 10. This is more enjoyable. If you go back and you watch the original show, it doesn't
better. Way better.
They've upped the ante so that we have the same experience now that we had when we were watching it originally. And to do that, they had to make it slightly. The dialogue is better, the acting is better, the animation is better. Yeah. At least, if I was, let's say realistically, at least a 9.
Yeah. Mr. Khoza?
I'll definitely give it an 8.5 because of so far so good. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed with the show, and I can't wait to see where it's going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mr. Extrodin?
I give it an 8. It could have been a bit higher, but I think there's some things that I've already spoken about throughout the episodes that didn't sit well with me. There's some inconsistencies, let me just put it like that. I just feel like when you're handling multiple characters, you need to give each their time to shine. I just feel like Beast is still sidelined a bit. Even Bishop, to be honest, but despite that, it's a good show. Magneto's lines, Beast's lines are impeccable. Cyclops is basically the star of the show, just like, as it should be. But I think we need more of Wolverine. I do know that he's overrated, but we need more of Wolverine. Show us a bit more of Wolverine, please. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to give it 9.5. Magneto. I'm learning to appreciate you Homo sapiens alongside Magneto, and that's saying a lot because I was balls deep in Team Brotherhood at some point. I was like, because from my perspective, I was like, humans and mutants are never gonna get along. Just the way I'm seeing what's happening with the LGBT community today, I was like, there's never gonna be peace. Let me just go and find my superpowers and build my own gay genosha somewhere so that all my brothers and sisters can be safe from all these marauding. And then jiggy, we are watching this and we are actually seeing someone try to live up to this man's impossible standards of trying to make a world a better place, and I'm beginning to see, Charles does make mistakes, and I love there's a line where Magneto does make fun of that. It's like it had to take him dying for you to realize that even Xavier can make a mistake. It's like, my man, but. So for all that, for Magneto's growth and how he's teaching me, I'm gonna give it a 9.5. Otherwise, general score would have been like a 9, because I love all the characterizations. Please give Storm her powers back. please make a queen of Wakanda. I don't care how you're gonna do that. She must dump Forge and take T'Challa on it. Like, it's the only story that makes sense. I need those babies. I need you to have babies with King T'Challa. Do you hear me?
I don't
Anyway.
think that T'Challa thing is gonna happen because this is based on the 90s.
La 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 la. They can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Like we need to remember that this is the 90s.
Okay, I'm gonna now take my pills of copium. Copium for people who for people who have Delulu. Take yours today.
Side effects may include.
Anyway, thank you so much for lasting up until this point. I do hope you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Please follow these awesome guests. We are gonna continue with episode 4, the episode 4 review next week, or maybe let me just give it a couple of episodes to pile up and then make a next episode. Yeah, I think we should do that because then the pacing is a little more normal. So we love our guests. I hope they come back next time. I hope we will keep talking. We'll talk offline because
that guitar thing again.
The theme
I
song.
I vote Forge wears the Batman suit next time.
Where's Martha?
You cannot fight crime in that thing because you can barely function as a human being. You need
Anyway,
like when they make these movies, you've got 5 assistants helping you with your outfit.
Anyway, since this is my podcast, this is Trevor. When I say the traumatizing line, I want to become more viral than herpes, and the only way herpes spreads is through mouth to mouth. So please go talk about us. We love you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Wait, before
This is the ending credits. I'm not changing shit.